Wes Williams is a filmmaker who helped shape an entire generation of motocross. From the early days of filming out at the local races with nothing but a camera and a vision, to building Vurbmoto into one of the most influential platforms the sport has ever seen. His story is one of longevity, obsession, and relentless work ethic. But behind the success is something deeper. Years of sacrifice, uncertainty, and the willingness to go all in when there was no guarantee that it would work. This conversation is about building something from nothing, creating a life on your own terms, and what it really takes to stay in the game long enough to make an impact. This is Wes Williams. Now let's dive in. Welcome to Ride Beyond, where we go beyond the ride and into what matters. In this podcast, you'll find meaningful conversations with people who live with passion, chase freedom, and remind us what it means to live fully. The motorcycle is our connection, but the stories are what take us beyond. How was your run this morning, man?
Well, so I started training for this 5K earlier this week. So I started training like Wednesday, and you see the hill that I live on. I did that like at 5 o'clock one morning, and I quickly was like, man, this shit's for the birds, because it's very steep.
Very steep.
So I was like, I only did one day of training for this 5K, and then we decided not even to do the 5K. We just did the 1 mile elf walk.
Oh,
so,
okay.
I mean, all that training for nothing, but here we are. I feel very accomplished today. Danny, Stu, and I were dressed up as elves, and then my kids took my elf hat and my elf shirt, and so I was only like half elf, but it was successful morning.
Sick. I forgot. Is Danny staying with you?
No. He's he got an Airbnb.
Okay.
Down the road.
I was like, man, I didn't see him.
I'll have to tell him to cruise up though, or you can.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're doing after this. Come hang out at the beach for a minute.
Yeah, maybe we'll go get lunch or something. I would love to see Danny.
Let's
That'd be
do
sick.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
He's still crushing MX 207 style.
Yeah.
Arena Cross Dan, MX 207 Dan, Video Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's kind of like us, just
grinding. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, I feel like I haven't seen you in probably 10 years at least.
I would say.
So cool to catch up, dude.
Yeah, it's hearing and watching your story along the way, very similar to mine, maybe 10 years removed. So yeah, I've been curious to catch up on your story and hear it because I feel like it paralleled what happened with myself and Vurbmoto and even Meta a lot back in the 2013-14, and I think as far as our relationship went, it was very strong in the Vurb days, and I probably carried a lot of animosity, even though you had nothing to do with it. But, there was a circle there that, I was on the fringe of when our whole Vurbmoto shutdown happened and the whole Meta acquisition happened. And, so, I think
life's crazy.
And so, I reckon there was that 10-year hiatus, not because there was animosity now, as we'll get into, there's a lot of silver linings and everything that did happen for all of us, I reckon. And so either way, that's probably why it's been 10 years since I've seen you. Well,
and we've just been busy.
Yeah.
Dude, like you're out crushing it. I had my nose to the grindstone doing my thing.
Yep.
And
what you created was fantastic, dude.
Thanks, man.
It's Meta turned Vana was what a phenomenal product.
Dude, it was a good ride, man.
Yep.
I'm very grateful for it. And we'll get into this story, but we could not have started that magazine without what you started.
Yeah.
So I want to tell the Vurb story.
Yeah.
But let's talk about your story first. When did you get into riding dirt bikes? Did you grow up riding?
Nope. A couple kids in my neighborhood around the time I was like 12 or 13. Got my buddy Clint got a KX80. My buddy Chris right up the road, same cul-de-sac. His dad then bought a YZ80 at the time for him. And then my buddy down the street, Cody, had a 1996 CR80, and I was just hooked. It was like love at first sight. I'd seen dirt bikes maybe in shops or something driving down the road, and I always remember like having this fascination, but being up close and personal, it was literally love at first sight. All I wanted to do was ride, and of course, as soon as I got on one, it was just like no looking back. And here I am, 30 years later.
That's
we're not 30. I'm not going to age myself quite that much. I'm about to turn 40. So, 28 years. So, at that point in time, I was just begging my mom please, I have like all my friends have dirt bikes. Please let me get one.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom is always, you got to work for it. So we, hey, here's 4,000 chores that you can do over the course of this summer to raise, whatever it was, $600. And I was able to go buy an XR 100.
4,000 what?
Chores. Like window washing, pressure washing the driveway, whatever the hell it was. I just remember she's like, oh, you want a dirt bike? Here's literally 4,000 things you and your friends could do this summer that are worth $25 or $50 a piece. So here I am just all summer. I like your term, grinding to get my first dirt bike.
You had to earn it.
Yep, she did. She made me earn it. So then, XR 100, never looked back.
Sick. That's a good first bike.
Yeah.
I have a soft spot for anything XR. My favorite bike is my XR 650.
Nice.
I don't know why. Like I bought that thing from like a ranch in Wyoming and just totally rebuilt it.
Yeah.
And like that's my adventure bike. I've ridden down Baja with that thing, and it's like such a cool bike. But dude, speaking of Carson Brown, I saw him ride that thing. Like give me a whole new appreciation for that bike.
We can talk about Carson Brown for hours, I reckon. And the guy's unbelievable. My buddy Blake brought that XR 650 up there, and he's like, dude, I don't care. Carson can break it in half, whatever, burn it down. Carson did like a moto on it, and he's like, hey man, I need to load it up and take it home. And I was like, oh, I thought we could break it in half. But like, it's crazy. Carson literally just gets on those bikes,
crazy,
kicks it over, and like doesn't set a single clicker. That's like, he just goes full bore lap one without how's it feel? Are the bolts good? Handlebars good? Nothing. I'm just mind blowing.
You just did that project with him and Kenny, right? At Pastrana's house?
Yep.
On the RMzilla?
Yep.
How was that? That looked sick, dude.
That was a pinch myself moment. I've obviously worked in the moto industry a long time. I've worked with Pastrana dozens of times individually. I've worked with Kenny dozens of times individually, and I've done all of Carson's stuff. Not all of it, but a majority of Carson's stuff for the past 2 or 3 years since he's moved over to Red Bull. So, I get to work with all these guys a lot. But I've only been to Pastrana Land once before for a quick in and out day for some Red Bull thing. And to go that day to ride dirt bikes, to go actually see the track that Pastrana grew up riding. And here we are on the RMzilla with the three of them.
Yeah.
I don't have pinch myself moments a lot anymore. You get kind of jaded. And a lot of times it's like, oh, I'm here to work. That day, all day long, I'm just like, holy shit.
It's crazy.
I cannot believe this is happening. So
Pastrana Land with Ken Roxon, Travis Pastrana.
And since the episode's out, did you watch the result?
Yeah.
Like Pastrana was within 4 seconds of them, which I find pretty fascinating.
I thought Kenny was going to win it, but man, it's pretty impressive.
Carson is just next level on a dirt bike, especially the one lap sprints.
Yeah. On like weird bikes.
Yeah. He's definitely found his forte, and is one hell of a forte.
Dude, you've had a lot of amazing projects over the years. How did you initially get into filming? Because your love for moto came first, I would assume. How did you pick up a camera and realize I could blend these two worlds?
I was always a bit of a nerd. So we had a high 8 around the house all the time. So even before dirt bikes, we'd film ourselves riding rollerblading. And I shouldn't admit that, but rollerblading, inline skating, bro, like Team Pup and Suds, Brink all the way. And as we transitioned into dirt bikes, I just was just filming us all on dirt bikes at the time. And there was no way to edit back then. Like I just have tapes on tapes that I hope never surface of us just doing dumb shit on dirt bikes. And I'm probably the worst skits on earth, most embarrassing things on earth. But
same.
It was around 2004. My mom had worked for a corporate job her whole life, and she'd 25 years into it, and she hated life. And she was like, as I was 16, 17, 18, she's like, you need to find something that you love and just pursue that. And she just beat that into my head. And with the work ethic that she instilled in me, I never got a handout. And one day she decided to quit her corporate job. She's like, I'm over it. I'll figure it out. And she's like, but you know what that does for your racing? Like, I guess I'll take that back. She did take me racing. She paid for a lot of dirt bike stuff, which, I definitely couldn't afford it as a 16-year-old. And so anyways, at that point in time in that transition in her life, she's like, hey, if you want to keep racing, I need you to figure out how to somewhat do this. I was like washing dishes and stuff, but I don't know. There was one day at a dirt bike track, I was filming one of my buddies, and his dad offered me $20 to make like a video. And I remember this instant. I still have the $20 bill framed.
That's cool.
But I remember thinking like, oh shit, I can make money filming dirt bikes.
Wow.
And, so I don't know that I realized necessarily what it could be, but I was like, oh, well, what if I started doing helmet cams and like these personal videos and all these things around 2003, Georgia Promoters Group, GBG era, shout out Georgia, a 60-80 beginner champion back in 01. But anyways, obviously it wasn't like this crazy realization right there that led to some massive explosion, but it's 20 years of progression from that point.
That is cool though. That little $20 bill was like this moment of like, oh wait, something clicks.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, this isn't just me and my buddies doing skits.
Yeah.
Like I can do something with this. And like I can obviously, like, just like myself, you probably realize I'm not going to make money riding a dirt bike.
Yep.
But like this is a way where I could stay involved in this thing I love and like do something with it. So cool.
And at the time, I realized if I called tracks and offered them a video, a highlight video of the weekend or whatever, I would get my race fees entry. So I had done this whole bartering thing with the tracks, and they were letting me in. So my mom would still pay for gas or whatever, and we go to the race on the weekend, but I was starting to race for free and get in free. So covering what, $400 or $500 on a weekend at that point in time. So, I made it work. And then this was well before YouTube or even any kind of home to put video on the internet. So Go Creations was the first iteration of Vurb, and starting in 02, I'd somehow, through some buddies and being a nerd, figure out how to get video on the internet on servers, Windows Media Player, and
a lot more complicated back then.
And so Go Creations kind of became this hub of all internet kids like learning how to do video, because nonlinear editing systems like on a computer were just becoming prevalent at that point in time, like Pinnacle Studios, Sony Vegas,
iMovie.
It's probably before iMovie. So there was like all these kids like myself in different corners of the world, including Danny Stewart, that had no idea how to put their own videos on the internet. They'd figured out how to like edit a video, but they're like, how do I get it to you? And I knew how to. All right, well, I have a server. Download this FTP program, upload it to me. I'll put the link on my.
This is before
website.
YouTube.
Well before YouTube.
That's crazy.
So I mention all that to say, I remember in 05, Boyson hit me up and wanted to like advertise on Go Creations or something. Or maybe I wanted like a rad valve, the V-Force 3 or something. And I wanted it for my KTM 125, and that's what it was. And I was like, hey guys, I'll put your banner on my video or whatever. And in that moment, I realized, oh shit, there's a whole other level to this. I can offer advertising to people. And so $20
cool.
bill to there. Those were like the two pinnacle moments in my brain that kind of clicked to, after that was like probably 05. And then 06, 07 was when we launched Vurb.
That's cool. You clearly have like a work ethic ingrained in you. I feel like it's probably from, your mom. Like you said, she made you do all these chores to earn that first dirt bike. And like at the time you probably hated it, but like that seems like it's stuck with you and has led you down this road of being able to find success for yourself.
It's important because just even listening to your podcast and talking about starting over, and it's hard. Being an entrepreneur is very tough. There's a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of times that you got a lot of money. There's a lot of times you got no money, and you got to go with the ebbs and flows, and you got to be comfortable being very uncomfortable. And when you got the work ethic and belief in yourself, it's confidence inspiring, and believing in yourself and doubling down on your own self becomes a whole lot easier, or a lot of cases tripling down on yourself. Like how many times can you put your money on red and it keeps hitting black, and you're like, oh shit, but you're like, I know it's going to hit red one of these times, right? So, you're always betting on yourself that you do that, but you can't do that without work ethic. I mean, how many people, not just in our industry, probably in the world, set off with an entrepreneurial vision that doesn't come to fruition because like you got to dedicate probably a year. You're talking about how much your life has changed in 1 year of focus. A lot of times to get a business off the ground, it takes multiple years and multiple reinvesting everything and betting on yourself time and time and time again. And that's tough.
Yeah. I'm lucky to be able to do it that quickly just because I've had this decade of a foundation that I've laid.
Absolutely.
Most people,
Yep.
like you said, it takes longer than that.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
so tough.
Yep.
So speaking of that exact point, you guys launched Vurb from like pretty much nothing. You were young kids with not much. So you had Go Creations, which was
Yep.
like your personal video brand. You were shooting videos yourself. And actually, let's go before Vurb. I want to talk before Vurb.
Yeah.
Because you had a really weird trajectory that's opposite of like any other filmmaker that I know, in that you like started by making like full-length movies.
Yep.
Like I feel like most filmmakers work their way into that, but you're just like, I'm just going to make like 30, 45-minute films right out of the gate.
Well, you got to think, you follow what's happening. And at the time, I watched Mini Warriors and Still Roots literally every single day of my life, if not multiple times a day.
Yeah.
Before school, after school. If I couldn't ride my dirt bike, I was watching Mini Warriors 2, Mini Warriors 3, Mini Warriors 4, as all those came out, or Still Roots. Literally every day. So at the time, that's what you did. There was no internet to go do Insta bangers or YouTube videos or platinums or all the things that have evolved since then. It was following the world of Crusty Demons and, you know, all the movies before us. So like,
that's what it was.
That's what you did. So we made In the Ranks.
Yeah.
And then In the Ranks 2, and then The Prospects, and then Epic. That's just what you did at the time because there wasn't this whole other thing. So, you know, there was a whole distribution model of VHS and DVD back then. So, of course, me as an 18-year-old kid, we got in with Impact Video, and you're able to make $8.50 per copy that they bought and sold. So, like, I funded a lot of my early life and career, you know, selling DVDs. And, like, kids these days are like, what's a DVD? Maybe, most likely. But that's how it was. Like, they'd call and order 1,000 movies at a time, maybe sometimes only 100. But, you know, on your first initial orders, like, yeah, I remember being 17 and getting a PO for $40,000.
Yeah, you're like, what?
And that's life-changing at that time.
That's insane.
So, you know, it was just that constant reinvestment of like, okay, cool, go buy new cameras, go buy a box fan, start traveling around. We started selling DVDs at the races that we started going to and figuring out all these little pockets of revenue.
Yeah.
That we could just propel the lifestyle. All I cared about was going to the next dirt bike race and having the gas to go to the next dirt bike race. Being an 18-year-old kid, how do we convince someone to buy us a 12-pack of beer?
How did you get them to believe in you to make this first film? Did you have it? Did you have the video completed and then you sold it to them?
No. So,
because having no like no background or experience, how you're like, I'm going to make a DVD.
Well, we made quite the splash with online. No one was doing online. Like literally, no action sports worldwide. Like I bet you were in the top 1% of people that figured out how to get video online. I'd actually be very curious of that stat. So, anyways, in Georgia, Richard Crosby, this guy that owns a successful roofing company, his kids raced, and he had bought this VX 2000, Sony VX 2000 camera, and with the ambitions of making his own Mini Warriors. And I think he quickly realized, like, dude, no way I have the aptitude to do this. So he obviously, because he was Georgia, he got in touch with me and was like, hey man, I see all these videos you're putting online. Let's make a movie together. And I was 16, 10th grade. And he's like, let's go to Texas, Lake Whitney's in 2 weeks. Let's go. And I was like, Mom, this guy invited me to Texas. And my mom was like, what? I'm like, I have to do it. This doesn't just happen, Mom. And so we had to go to like my school and get it approved by my principal. And it was just supposed to be Lake Whitney, but it was Lake Whitney to Mosier back then. And I remember calling my mom and I'm like, I'm not coming home. And she's like, you're coming home. And I'm like, I'm not though. I'm not.
Oh my God.
And so she had to like go to my school, and it was like quite the uproar, but it was like another thing that clicked in my head. Like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah. This is like my 8 Mile moment.
Yeah.
It's like now or never, dude.
They were, I watched Millsaps and Alessi and Stewart on Mini Warriors, and I was like, I'm finally here at Lake Whitney. This is the pinnacle of what I want to do. Like, you know how it is. You roll into a race and the 2-stroke gas back then, and like, at Loretta's, I'd seen factory bikes, but when you roll up and see Davey Millsaps, Loretta's was like this, there's still fences. Lake Whitney was the first time I'd been to something without a fence. And I was like up there close and on the line with them. And it was just
Lake Whitney's gnarly.
Unbelievable.
What
and
year
it was like
that?
03.
I think I went in '04 for the first time. That was one of the gnarliest
Yeah.
tracks out there.
I've always said if I won the lottery, I would call what were they called? Something DW Ranch or something. I would call them up and say, hey, what would it take? Just let us open it up for a weekend. Let us just come in there, bring Jason Baker from Dream Tracks in. We'll let us get it back to its former glory. Let everybody come in and ride it for the weekend, and then you can have it back.
Yeah.
Because I just, that the nostalgic feeling I have in my head, if I could do one crazy thing, that's what I'd want to do.
I've been wearing a lot of pieces from Foreign Rider's new analog series lately, and I really love what they're doing with it. The whole idea is a return to the roots, like going back to the fundamentals, making simple products really well. Everything is small batch, handcrafted in their hometown of Toronto, and built with the focus on longevity. Not just something you wear for a season, but something that stays with you over time. And that's what really stands out to me. It's not about having more, it's about having less, but better. It's about being intentional with what you choose to wear, how you choose to live, and choosing items that not only fit and feel amazing, but actually mean something. That's what Foreign Rider is really about. If that resonates with you, you can check out the analog series at foreignrider.com and use code BYND for 20% off site-wide. That's code BYND, all caps, 20% off at foreignrider.com. Man, I remember I grew up on Mini Warriors as well, and growing up riding in that time, it was so cool to see like the kids your age and like what was possible.
Oh, absolutely.
Like seeing Davey Millsap go big on an 80. I'm like, oh my God, that's crazy. And like Adam Cincerillo and all these guys. And then after that, I started watching In the Ranks and Prospects.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
And these movies you were making, I didn't know who you were. I didn't know you. But like me and my brother, we were watching these films and they were so cool and such a part of our childhood. And I feel like that was probably the case for a lot of kids. So like, what was the reception like when you started putting those videos out, and what did that feel like?
It's hard to even recall, but it would probably be similar to like the Pastrana video the other day. It goes live and you instantly get a couple 100,000 views. Like I still get the mad dopamine hits off that. And like, you see 13,000 likes on a video that you made, even though no one even knows that I did it. I still get the dopamine hits, like 1,000 comments. And you're just like,
proud of your work. Yeah.
It's cool, man. So it would have been the same way. You get a PO from Impact Video for 5,000 DVDs and you're like, what just happened? Right. So the reception was cool because again, that was the pathway back then. People still bought DVDs. They still went to all the shops. And that was another cool thing. Go to some shop with Matt Lemoyne in Pilot Point, Texas, and they got 10 of your DVDs sitting there. I remember like some of those moments and like, I'm right next to Krusty 8 or whatever it was at the time. And I'm just like, holy shit, dude, that's really cool. So it was definitely I made it feeling. So then obviously the progression was In the Ranks 2 after that. Prospects was still DVD era, but right after that, it started fizzling off. But much like you, I appreciated the art of what DVD and filmmaking was. So in 2009, I wanted to do Epic because Volcom had done these movies with like all these books. And I remember we were good buddies starting to become good buddies with the Volcom guys at the time. And I just remember I was like, I want to do that. I want to invest every dollar I've ever made to produce this pamphlet booklet and chase that's all in the snowboarding world that had just come out too. So I was like, I want to take the Volcom art, mix it with the style of that's all. And that's when we did Epic.
Dude, Epic was legendary.
Yeah.
Epic was epic.
Right.
I remember when that came out, that was like peak Vurb. It was so cool. Epic. And I forget, was the booklet like part of the DVD case?
So if you got the special edition, I think we printed like 5,000 of them.
It was like part of the case.
Yeah,
right?
it was part of the
case.
You
open the DVD and
it was a book. It was an experience.
Did Clint design that?
Yep. So it was. I still have some, and it's still pretty high on my list of things I'm very proud of. Like, I think $50,000 in music. I think that booklet cost like $50,000.
Really?
Yeah, to do that run. So literally, when I say I invested everything I'd ever done at that point, I took every dollar I ever made.
Wow.
And put it into there because, well, number one, I thought because of Vurb and everything, I thought like, oh wow, this is definitely my ticket to stardom.
Well, you finally had a platform behind it as well, you know?
So I thought we're going to sell 20 or 30,000 copies, but I think DVDs were so dead at that point in time. It was very tail end of that era.
Happened quick.
It happened quick. So, you know, I think what happened is I probably made enough where we sold enough to make my money back, maybe a little bit more. But it was the notoriety, I think, that really helped propel us on the Vurbmoto side into new categories of life. Like we ended up getting DC shoes and Volcom after that. You know, like there's so many small things. Like it might have not been a crazy financial success.
It's still a win.
But it's still a massive win.
Yeah.
Got the attention of a lot of people, including you.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I feel like my brother and I followed your work very closely without knowing.
That's cool.
You know, well, we were embedded in that lifestyle and like chasing the amateur motocross, going to Ponca and World Minis and Lake Whitney. And I don't know.
Yeah, your brother's really fast. He's really good on a dirt bike, right?
Yeah.
And a mountain bike.
Hey, I taught him everything that he knows, but he had more natural talent. Like I was always faster than him because I was the older one, but I feel like he just, as he got older, he picked it up a lot easier. He was just more natural.
Yeah.
You know, I had to like work a lot harder I was sketchy and just bad.
I still follow him on Instagram. So when he pops up and I see the lines
he's
that he's
sick on a mountain bike.
God dang, dude.
He's super sick. So let's go back to the start of Vurb.
Yeah.
How did that idea come about? When did Vurb start? How did this crew of people come together?
So on the back of Goat Creations, I'd say we got the attention of Harold Martin at Moto Playground and Brent Stallo, my current Vurbmoto partner, and Andrew Campo and Clint Wilkinson all kind of worked at Playground from 05, 06.
Okay.
And I loved working on the magazine. I learned a lot from Harold. I learned a lot about business. And at the same time, I was doing stuff with Racer X. We learned how to do same day turn videos at Loretta Lynn's in 05. So I was kind of chasing this production path while working at Playground. And I went to Playground wanting to do next level things for Harold in the sense of like websites weren't very prominent. Videos online weren't very prominent still. This was 05, 06, right?
Same day turnaround's wild at that time.
Oh, unbelievable.
Yeah.
I bet when I say 1%, they're like even then, dude, they were like we were staying up all night, and I could talk for hours on the technological workflow that how insane that was. So yeah, I look back at the things that we did then that I'm still like, how did we? I don't know that we could do it now, especially with the amount of partying that we used to do. It was crazy. So, anyways, we kind of found this group of people at Playground, and I was trying to convince Harold, hey, let's move into this online world. And I think he kind of believed in it, but his foundational business was a magazine, Moto Playground, which to this day is still super badass.
Dude, I remember going to amateur nationals.
Oh my God.
Everyone, it was the you knew you were cool if you had the P on your helmet, gosh, right?
Dude. So Brent and I were on P, dude. You had to pass out 100 stickers a day. Get, Ian Treadles and the Nico Izzies, Austin Stroops, everybody's rocking the P, dude. Pinnacle was
sick.
Cool, rocking that P, right?
Yeah.
And especially he had these A-class stickers that had like the 3 mil lamination. If you got one of those, that's how you knew you were like top roster.
Oh, that's so cool.
So it was awesome going and working there. And I just, we ended up just falling in this trap of like working on the magazine all the time. And I was like, Harold, I really want to do video stuff, this, that, and the other. And not that he didn't believe in it. Again, his business was a magazine, not trying to forge a new path. And I think at some point in time, the entrepreneur in me was like, as much as I love this and as much as I dreamed of working for Moto Playground, it's not necessarily my ambition to be help him produce a magazine. So I remember at the end of 06, we went to Minios and I did some same day videos for myself. And I don't know, at that moment, I was just like, this is what I want to do. And so we were all living in Kansas at the time and got back from Minios. And I remember talking to Brent because we lived together. And I was like, hey, dude, let's chase this other
You were
thing.
living in Kansas?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. In Lawrence, Kansas, down the street,
Dude,
like 30 minutes from Playground.
That's where they're based?
They were in Ottawa, Kansas. So we lived we moved to Lawrence because
you guys moved there to work there?
Yep. In my box van. I drove my box van out and Brent drove from Green. He had just finished his master's at UGA or something. So
wow,
kind of all culminated at the same time. Andrew was the marketing director or publisher. Clint was the designer. So, we had this awesome group of people that now they didn't live there. We did, but obviously we worked with them every day via the internet, 56K dial up, I'm sure. So anyways, all of us decided to kind of chase our own path at the same time. Clint and Andrew went and started doing the subject media thing where they're helping Ashley Filick and a few other high-level amateur athletes at the time find their way and kind of being an agent, but marketing as well. And then we were decided to run Allegiance. And then, which Allegiance was like this short 6-month window that was pre-Vurb. And then
was that a content house? Like,
yeah, it was basically what Vurbmoto became, but it was with a kid that was part of Prospects. His name was Ben Bixby, super badass kid. And we were best friends, and his dad was kind of a business guy and kind of got in the way of how things progressed at the time. And unfortunately ended up going our separate ways. And because of that, we couldn't run Allegiance. So Britt and I were sitting at Aonia Pass one day, like, what do we do, man? We just invested everything we got, 6 months and every dollar to go in and trying to get this Allegiance thing off the ground. And we had no idea what to do. And then, we kind of came back together with Clint and Andrew with this Vurbmoto idea. And while they didn't jump in necessarily right off the rip, they helped build and nurture perhaps as friends and colleagues. And they later became part of it in 2009. So Britt and I from 2007, 2008 just chased the dream. And
dude, I feel like obviously the video work came from your blood, sweat, and tears. But I feel like the real magic that probably set Vurb apart was when Clint came aboard.
Oh, absolutely.
Because like that site, especially for the time, was just above and beyond any others. Like the aesthetic, the design, it was just on another level.
So in 2007, no one was doing online content even except Racer X, but they were like pro based. So we were we went to Minios in 2007. We started doing articles, photos, and video all same day. So Brent and Andrew or Clint would be out shooting photos, doing race reports, and first time you could actually figure out who's winning Minios real time. Really cool. So then we were doing same day turn videos at night, same thing. And I remember this guy Brian, who also used to work at Playground, built us a Joomla site, and they had like a little you could see how many people were on the site at the time. And like, remember one night at Minios, there was like 19,000 people on the site the first week that we launched. And I just remember being like, holy, we made it, boys. This is it. We're all huddled around the computer in my box van, just like high five and oh my God, we got this.
Dude.
But we were still in the infancy. No one understood. We didn't even understand what online marketing was, like how to sell ads or banner ads. There was none of this. And I remember even going to like Thor and all these people after, and they're like laughing us out of the good job, dudes. But like, this is never going to be a thing. And we're like,
that's crazy.
Shit. Like we really thought we were onto something. And it just took years of the grind to make people realize like online was going to be something, and it did become something and is something. It just took years to do that. So in 2009, I think that's really when Clint and Andrew came on board. It helped us take that next step. And Clint introduced us to Adam Patterson, who then took over our back-end web development, built us a full custom CMS.
Which was important at the time. But now you have the tools, like you can just do it yourself. Yeah, but at the time you had to have like a guy to do that.
Yeah. And it set us apart though. And it helped us go get the Volcums and the DC shoes and Thor. Like there was a lot of people spending good money with us back then.
Which is insane.
Yeah. But it took a long time to get to that point. I think 2012 was like really the pinnacle where those people really, like we started getting a huge group of big people spending good money with us.
Yeah. You guys are big at that time. It felt big from the outside though. Like I remember like 2009, 10, 11, like Vurb was the shit. Yeah. Like that's like where you go to see the cool videos that you wouldn't see anywhere else. Did you guys know that this was going to be like such a big thing, or did you have this vision, or were you just seeing what you could do? Like, did you have the feeling like this is going to blow up?
I always had the feeling. Otherwise, I don't think you chase it.
Yeah.
I think you know in your heart if you're onto something. And just because of the success of Goat Creations and even the viewership, it wasn't a monetary thing, especially in the early years. We had nothing to lose. A bunch of kids that just loved dirt bikes. And again, I was just trying to figure out how to get to the next race. There's plenty of times we were sitting in Andrew's motorhome in Texas at my buddy's trailer park for 2 weeks waiting on someone to pay us so we could get enough money to drive to World Mini. Like that happened many times. Like, all right, well, let's just camp out here till a check comes in the mail and we could get enough put gas in, because we didn't have credit cards or anything. I honestly don't remember how we did it. I don't know how we survived, but it was like nothing but peanut butter and jelly and potato chips. I remember literally on a good day, you're like, if we crushed that day, you'd get a cookie.
That's insane.
We were just poor as shit, but we didn't care, dude. We were just sitting there, and sometimes David Iser or Jim Feilich would come in and take us to Outback or some shit, and like those days were freaking just, oh hell yeah! Like, can we hit the all-you-can-eat buffet at World Mini? Come on, and it didn't matter. Money didn't matter.
Yeah.
We knew we were onto something because the amount of people that were latching onto it. We just had no idea because we were so young, hadn't run business. We didn't know how to monetize it necessarily, but we knew we were onto something.
You're lucky that you were that young though doing it, because like I don't think you could do that grind in your 30s.
No,
like
couldn't.
You got a family.
I could never do it again.
Yeah.
I would do it again if I go back in time.
Yeah.
But I could never do it
But
again.
if you had
now.
to start that now.
Well, we could fast forward and get into this, but like even when we decided to bring Vurb back, we had talked about building another brand. And I'm like, the problem is it would take 10 years and millions of dollars to get back to where even Vurb is at, even at a 5-year stagnation. So we're like, it's either we could get Vurbmoto back
or just keep doing what you're doing.
Or just keep doing what we're doing.
Which now you're doing kind of both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which is great. So, I mean, I feel like you've kind of touched on this, but in your mind, what made Vurb so special compared to other media outlets? Because I do think like Racer X was publishing a lot. Transworld was publishing a lot. Everyone was starting to do online videos. You said you were working with Racer X a little bit to do some same day coverage. What was it that like made Vurb stand apart?
I would say it's our personal passion and culture that we curated. I think even though Davey and some of the Racer X crew were really cool on the pro side, we were the first people to really take on the grassroots side of the sport and harness that to what it was. No one was given amateur anything outside of Playground, but you'd have to, well, there's Playground Amateur MX Final Lap. There was magazines at the time, but like Whitney, you'd have to wait 2 months to see what happened at Lake Whitney. And it was an 8-page article. Like, I think we were truly the first people to bring that sense of what amateur motocross was directly to the internet. And because it was pre-YouTube and like now there's thousands of competitors. Anybody with a cell phone now you're competing for views with. Back then it was only us being on the technological side. So technology was always probably my advantage, knowing how to get something on the internet 10 years before anybody else could figure it out. And granted, there's plenty of other people that came along and started doing it as well, but we had tenure. We were 5-6 years ahead of everybody else. So, it's like starting a brand now. Unless you got endless money and endless drive and grind, it's very tough. So we timing and knowledge and being able to figure out the technology, like me being a nerd, honestly, probably helped a tremendous amount.
Yeah.
So, all those things kind of culminated into giving us an advantage.
I think, timing is so huge. I also think Vurb, it felt like a movement, like a culture.
It was.
It was like a subculture within motocross. It was bigger than just,
the
Racer X and Transworld are like pillars in the industry.
Absolutely.
And like, love those companies and those outlets Racer X is still around, but I miss Transworld. But Vurb felt more, it felt like bigger than that. It felt like there was something going on beyond just a media outlet. There was like you guys were like influencing the culture, which was cool. Really sick. And
especially here, and thank you for that. Yeah, I would agree. We lived it and breathed it, and we still do. And I still think that's a paramount part of our success still. I'm still we're still the same group of dudes out there bleeding it. I'm out at Loretta Lynn's with a crew of 8 dudes spending way more money than a lot of other people to be there. Why? I don't know. Sometimes I ask the same questions, but I think our love and passion for the sport resonates in everything that we do. And I think people feel that. And that obviously when you're genuine and that authentic, it helps transpire in everything that you do, whether it's Meta, Vurb, Allegiance, the videos, the online articles. When someone can feel the passion and appreciate what that is and how hard it is to do some of those things, it helps your brand propel itself to bigger heights.
Yeah. I think you guys had a very unique style too. Like your videos had a really cool energy to them. The way that you edited, it was very like youthful and
like that's who we were.
Yeah. Was that an intentional creative direction? Like because you worked with other filmmakers too, and like whether it was like Walters or you or whoever the filmer was
Yeah.
behind the camera, it always felt like a Vurb video. Was that an intentional direction, or were you guys all just feeding off each other?
I think even down to meeting you, it's just you surround yourself with like-minded people. And all of us grew up on Mini Warriors. Like with Walt, it was just like me and him were just brothers, still are. And you just feel that. And when we started making videos together, it was just synonymous. But what was cool is like his was different enough, and his style of shooting and everything was different enough. So his editing was different enough. But then, it was kind of best of both worlds. I was like probably more clean storytelling, and he was more like punk rock, like crazy still roots underneath with fish eyes and stuff. And, I'm more smooth cam. So especially even still, I love shooting with Walt because our styles are still so different that when you mesh them together, I always tell him when I see him edit my stuff with his stuff now, it's like Christmas. We'd edit a lot of our stuff in-house now. So you kind of get jaded by the look and feel of something. So it's really fun to have someone as talented as Walt when we do work together still. I'm always like so Jones to see the edit because I'm like, dude, I cannot wait to see what you've done with my 300 mil or some of my gimbal stuff or even my running gun, whatever, mixed with his stuff. Like he's magic in his head when it comes to the editing side of things. So, so I guess to answer your question, I don't know. I think we just naturally
Just being yourselves.
Yeah, being ourselves, and we attracted each other because of that.
And you're like feeding off each other's energy and,
Yep.
Being inspired by each other's work. So
Yep.
naturally, as you're all approaching this one vision,
Yeah.
it may be coming at it from a different style, but at the end of the day, it feels like a Vurbmoto
Yeah.
video.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, Walt helped shape what that was. Like you learn from each other, and each time we'd make a video or whatever, oh, I loved what he did there, I'm going to shoot more like that or edit more like that. And so obviously both of us helped our product grow and grow and grow because if you go back and watch In the Ranks 1 compared to what Epic was and what Epic was to what it is now, obviously there's a massive difference in production quality.
Totally.
But we taught ourselves. There was no YouTube to go watch, like, how do I do any of this? That didn't exist. So all we could do is teach ourselves and say, hey, dude, how the hell did you do that?
Yeah.
Or again, identify something in a video that he didn't like. Oh shit, I love it when you use my style of shots like that. So you start shooting more like that. So, when you're a student of your own work, and you learn from each other.
Yeah. And I think you guys weren't just influencing each other. Like you were influencing like a whole generation of like moto filmers,
Right.
like all these up and coming kids, they were like kind of copying in a good way. Like I'd take it as a compliment, but like copying the Vurbmoto formula
Yeah.
to make these videos. I feel like you guys made this whole movement of like a new style within the industry. And it's cool too, because you guys kind of plucked all these random filmmakers that were on that trajectory to come like work with you and gave them a platform to like show their work as well. So sick.
Well, and even for us, maybe my style derived from snowboarding. I'm an avid snowboarder still. And I'd watch absent films, snowboarding videos, like Pop was my freaking jam in 06. I watched that nonstop. So I went from this lineage of watching nonstop moto movies. And once I became interested in snowboarding, I love snowboarding because the style was so different and the music was so different. And a lot of that transpired into what we were doing. So I don't know that Walt necessarily was watching snowboard. Well, I think he, and by the proximity of him, watched them because he had to. We had like when That's It, That's All came out in 08. I don't know that we turned it off. It was on repeat. And then, Art of Flight came out in 11. Same thing. You just sit there and you admire someone that's doing what you want to do. And, they started introducing phantom cameras and jibs and sliders, start doing all these things. So we're emulating them in our space, and then everybody else starts emulating us in our own space. So it's like, the derivatives of us following someone else's work, like, Kurt Morgan and Ty Evans can look and say, oh my gosh, I truly inspired all the way down to way different cultures and verticals than I ever anticipated.
Yeah, dude, those movies were insane. Even Life Cycles.
Yeah.
Remember Life Cycles? How sick that was?
The changing of the
seasons.
Yeah, we did a very similar project with Carson Brown a few years ago when he first came to Red Bull. That was his first like big Red Bull project. We went out to Flying Iron Horse Ranch, so we featured in Meta Volume 2. And And we did all these things where we GPS marked all these spots with lenses and everything. We did all these match cuts all 4 seasons. So if you haven't watched it,
I need to check that out.
It's pretty enthralling.
That's cool.
I don't know that the project ended up being everything that it could have just because of the rigmarole of corporate hierarchy, but it's still very cool to look at and appreciate.
I'm going to check that out.
So but I went and referenced life cycles many times and like even studying like how the hell did they do some of this, especially back then.
Yeah, especially back then.
So
with like the bike, like riding down the trail as the seasons are changing, but you see the leaves like falling, and
it's still remarkable. No CGI or nothing. So they did it legit.
Yeah, it's just like, how did they do the edit after? It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie. So another thing I've noticed about you is that throughout as your career has progressed, you've been able to grow into the professional ranks and like meet all these riders and work with the top level athletes. But it seems like you always have a soft spot for amateur motocross. Why is it that amateur motocross is so important to you? Is it like a nostalgia thing? Is it because you grew up on Mini Warriors? What is it?
I think that's a massive part of it now because yes, like I mentioned, business wise, I don't know that it makes that much sense to go to a lot of these places, spend the amount of money that we do sometimes, but I try to stay core to our brand. Vurbmoto was an amateur site. We are grassroots and we still pride ourselves in being that. So we can't lose it, but I also can't be at all of them anymore. So obviously I go to the pinnacle ones like Loretta's, and especially with some of our new Vurbmoto initiatives with our Prospect app. I want to go to Daytona RCSX this year. I'd love to be at Spring Eating. I'd like to invest more days, maybe not go the whole weeks, but at least a few days, maybe on the main days where all the kids really go head to head. I feel like the weight for me now is I feel like the historian of the sport. You should, after this, I'll go show you how many petabytes of footage that I have sitting.
Dude, I see you guys posting old footage from the glory days all the time.
Yep. So, I've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars of archiving this stuff. And, it's something most people probably don't know or even appreciate because they don't know. But I now feel, because, there used to be Insider MX, Matt Wozni, a lot of people that go to these races and there was access to the footage. I kind of feel now, even though I don't go to all the races, I still feel I have to go to Loretta's and capture every damn class that I can, every Vurb race that we can. I feel this weight to film it just so we have it. A lot of people still come to me and say, hey, can I have Cooper Webb Championship footage from 06 Loretta's, AC, Ryan Dungey, all these things. And
amazing.
I think to myself, who else has this? And the answer is not many.
Yeah.
And even if they do, it is a Matt Wozni, and I have no idea what his archive system looks like. Is it still exist? Is it accessible? I have no idea. So part of me feels the weight of being this self-proclaimed historian on the video front. But another part is just staying core to our brand and
where you came from, never forgetting where you came from.
And dude, I still get chills going to Loretta's. Like I've been 26 years consecutive.
Yeah, it's magic.
And so when you roll into there every single summer, I still get that same feeling, which makes me know that you almost got to go remind yourself how much you do love it. Cause you do get behind a computer. I've heard you talk about like busting out socials and clip downs. Like you just never stop. And so sometimes you go there and you got to regain the appreciation. And Loretta's one of those things. I go and it's almost like boot camp. I will go and work as hard as I can and as hot as absolute fuck. You're like, why am I doing this? It's a week long. Why the hell am I here doing this to myself? But it's almost like proving to yourself that you still love it that much. And that honestly, at my age now, that I still freaking got it. So
it's probably a little more sensible these days though, because I'm sure you're going there shooting for some clients and like, you have some jobs lined up. Whereas in the past, you guys were just like, let's see what happens.
Yep, absolutely. Like, you're right. Until we started doing Red Bull Signature Series in 2011, I think it was, we would go to Loretta's and there was no content plan. There was just shoot everything, spray and pray, like just put up everything we freaking can, and it worked. But yeah, I definitely say there's a bit more methodology to the madness now.
Yeah, I guess that comes with age. So when you think about Vurb, I think you touched on this a little bit, but how big of a factor was timing? Being the right place at the right time, doing the right thing at the right time.
I don't want to say it was everything, but it was definitely a large advantage. I think I'm the kind of person that I'm going to figure it out no matter where I'm at in life or what I'm doing. If you did tell me to start a new brand right now, I'd figure it out. I put my nose to the grind, and I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I think that's always been my number one skill. I've never been the best video guy or the best editor. If you, even in my space now, there's people that are way better, but I've figured out the entire package, and I hit deadlines. I do what I say I'm going to do every time for the amount that I say I'm going to do it for. And I think that's being an entrepreneur first. You realize, that how important the business aspects of all of it really are. If you can't hit deadlines, I don't care how good you are. It doesn't matter. You got to be able to promise and deliver on your promises. And if you can't, be the best dude at what you do in the world, and you're not going to make it. So I always think I have that in me. I may not be the best. It's like the Ricky Carmichael thing. He's always said like, hey, I'm not the best, but I'll train the hardest.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty hard to
works
outwork
harder.
me.
Yeah.
So in that regard, timing was a huge part, but
it's a perfect storm.
it was.
You guys,
it was.
It was your work ethic and your vision as a filmmaker. It was meeting this group of people who could pull all the right pieces together.
Yeah.
It was Clint's aesthetic that really differentiated
Absolutely
you.
It is.
And
I learned a lot from that, like even into my own work, right? So without Clint, I wouldn't have realized like, oh my gosh, the aesthetics even play into the storytelling.
Dude, he's so good.
Yeah.
And he still is so
Yeah.
good. But it was timing with starting this online media platform when that was pretty new. So front running that opportunity.
Yeah.
Engaging this new audience that's looking for this content online, being some of the first people to offer that. And then getting on these social media platforms early so that you could grow quick and gain this. So like you guys did it all right. You had the right people, the right work ethic, the right time for the right product. And it's just like the perfect storm, dude.
It's ironic though, because we do look back and it's like, even with like national security that we did in 2009, it would be perfect for TikTok today. There's so many instances that we've looked at and been like, if only we were 10 years later. But there's, in the same regard, if we weren't 10 years earlier, we wouldn't have the success to be able to even go do that stuff. So, it's a double-edged sword in some of it. And, it's not like I want to be the 40-year-old TikTok guy right now. So I'm not going to be. So, now navigating the lanes of this new world are difficult. And you try to stay true to who you are and, still do a really good job, but it's difficult at the same time.
I like that you guys never took yourselves too seriously.
And
like
we still don't, dude. Still don't. Like
Like-
if you want to get in touch with us, it's hotdog@vurbmoto.com. And like we joked, and like as dumb as that is, if you go to our website, it's like email hotdog@vurbmoto.com. And a lot of people are like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I think it's fun. I love it.
So yeah, but I think that's a big point. Like you got to have fun.
Yeah.
You got to have fun.
Yeah. Mud Dolphin and what was it? National Security? You said?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was that the dude who was always just like walking past
Travis
the gate?
Stewart? We'd hidden camera him, like come
So
with the dumbest ways of sneaking into the pits.
Yeah.
At the Nationals without a wristband. Yeah, we were Siamese twins one time. Him and Steve Cox one time were Jedi mind trick. They'd go up and be like, "You'll let us into the pits," and like, "No, we're not."
Wasn't there one where they would just say like Japan or something?
Japan
super
4
big?
was our first
Japan
one at
4.
Hangtown. Yeah, Japan 4, and
Japan,
it worked really good until Southwick.
Japan 4.
Southwick. I think we were trying to do handstands past the security guards or something, and I ended up getting tackled. He dislocated my shoulder, and this dude is big.
The security guard tackled
Yeah.
you?
And he punted one of our HVX 200s that's I still have to this day, and it doesn't work.
Dude, he's taking his job a little too serious.
It was gnarly.
It's only a dirt bike race.
Yeah.
Oh man. So you've been doing this for decades now. From when you started filming to today, like you've been embedded in the sport. How have you seen the sport change in that time?
I think it's just gotten so much more serious. And that's why I almost feel like us being who we are is that much more important, and making people realize that you don't have to take it so damn seriously. You're a 9-year-old on a YZ65, dude. Like, if you don't win Loretta's, it's okay. And like so many parents, it's just become such a bigger business now than it used to be. At Lake Whitney in 03, you should have seen the amount of kids that were out in the woods building jumps and on bicycles and this, that, and the other. Sean Rife at the time winning the 60 classes back then, he was out there dirt jumping his bicycle. That would never happen now. So it's just gotten in my opinion, way too serious. And it's just big business now. All these kids and parents go to training facilities, and good on you. Like, the separation and the keys now, if you do want to make it in the sport, I guess you have to do it. It's not necessarily a path I want to follow with my kids.
It's just dirt bikes, dude. It's supposed to be fun.
I want to go trail riding. I want to go have fun and realize why I love to ride dirt bikes. Like, you talking about going and riding your bikes out in the woods and having a good time. That's really what I want to do with my kids. I want to do it why I did it. And if my kids want to aspire to do something else, but like the whole racing thing, it's a different culture. And it's I don't know, the seriousness now, it just doesn't seem fun to me. And if it weren't so serious, like even at a local level, I think it's just tough to be an avid racer. I think it's fun to still be an enthusiast, but the racing side has gone to just new damn heights. So it's tough.
What do you feel like has stayed the same through this time?
The badassness. Like still like going and looking at the factory 80s and super minis. Like there's times I still see the super minis and I'm just like,
damn,
whoa. Like some badass machines. I still like super appreciate super minis and like badass 125s.
So you have a bigger appreciation for like super minis and 125s than seeing like Jed Lawrence's bike or something.
Yeah, I would.
That's cool.
But it's because I'm jaded. I've been around it so much. Like, you see Vital pit bits and stuff and they're like noticing all these like crazy nuances from week to week. I'm not like a bike nerd enough to know all that. So I don't know. I remember rolling up to Loretta's in like 99 and seeing my first big wheel YZ85. And at the time they didn't make a big wheel. So someone else had intentionally taken like wheels and made a YZ85 Super Mini, whatever it was. And
yeah.
I remember this moment being like, holy shit.
You had to totally customize that bike.
Like the swing arm and everything. I didn't even realize it was possible. And like, I don't know. So Super Minis to this day though, like building the 112s, important, like all these things I remember as a kid wanting. And I think it's still just the nostalgia that plays into it. Like I want a badass 125 that's just decked out with black rims and FMF pipes and just to the nine. I never had that, so I appreciate those bikes because I'm like, damn, dude, that like as a 15-year-old kid, I would have killed to have that.
I know. I never got a Super Mini. I only had an 85. My brother, after I got older and on big bikes, my brother got a badass Super Mini. I was like so jealous, but yeah.
I mean, to this day, I have a bone stock YZ 250F. And it's like, I don't ride enough to like justify going and getting the suspension done. And even, there's checkers at Race Tech's always like, send in your stuff. And I'm like, dude, I'm not going to ask for all this. I ride like 3 times a year, dude. Like I'm not trying to get some mod ass bike, waste some money and time on me. I'm not going to do it. But like I still dream of if a factory ass bike showed up to my house, I'd be like, shit, yeah. I'd probably never ride it, but I'd be like super appreciative of it, staring at it every day. But I don't know, the badassness, like, if you go back to like 03, 04 when Suzuki was at its prime with Cole Gress and all, Michael Paglia, Jason Lawrence, Ian Treadle, Nico Izzy, they all had the freaking Suzuki button ups and they had the in-style white cover seats and all that. It was just like so pinnacle how badass some of the graphics and everything were back then. And like they still are, don't get me wrong. But I look back at what that was then. It was super badass. And I still love
sports.
Our sport is sick. It's still sick.
It's so cool.
When I'm out there at Loretta's and there's a sick ass battle in the 85 10 to 12 class, it's still everybody makes fun of me because I'm like a freaking antelope on the track. I just can't help myself. If there's a damn good battle, dude, I'm sprinting around trying to get every angle of it I can. So I still very much appreciate how much people appreciate it. I guess like
the sport is cool. I feel like it's as cool as ever. Even like the pros are. It's such an exciting sport right now.
And pros is fun for me because I've come up with all of them. So I guess another reason to answer like the amateur thing, I still feel like I'm cultivating relationships in amateur ranks. And when you do that, it's a hell of a lot easier to have that relationship continue into the pro ranks, especially in my business now, having those relationships and being able to call it anybody versus an agent to a handler, hoping something happens. If I want something from Ken, I'll just text Ken instead of having to go through Steve Astafin, right? Just kidding. But you know what I mean? It's the friendships and the personal relationships that you make, and it obviously helps when you're doing things like Moto Spy or Flight Plan with Jet and Hunter. When you have a personal relationship connection with them, it's a whole lot easier to ask them for things and honestly make them do things that maybe I'm like, if they give me pushback, I'm always like, come on, asshole. Like, just do, like, I just need this. And if you're just showing up, like, if I showed up and shot with LeBron James, it's not like I could be like, hey, you dumbass, freaking do this for me.
Yeah.
So
how do you build that trust with the top athletes? Is it like you're saying it's just the years of working together?
I think it's
Because
part of it. And then building a trust in you. Like there's plenty of times I've been confided in and told things that they would know if I said something. I'm probably a black box of memories and things that have happened and things that have been said that, like, especially with Motospy, being in the trenches with those dudes and hearing things and filming things. And it's not, even though we own Vurbmoto and we're a news platform, I have to separate that part of me. There's plenty of times I could get on Vital and tell everybody the latest gossip and this, that, and the other. I've never done that. And I think that's a huge part of it. Like, even though we are Vurbmoto, they know that if I'm there with the camera in my hand doing something for a client, it's, I have a different hat on. And you know what, if I hear something, or even my inner circle doesn't ever hear about it again. So, and I mean, obviously there's plenty of things that I have on mic and camera that
they can trust that you're not going to expose it.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. And even with parents though, it's not like I'm out there like Tace Morgan. He's a really cool, badass 12-year-old. It's not like I have, back in the day, me and Matt Lemoyne were best friends because I was 17 and he was 15. That age gap was fine to be friends with. I can't go be best friends with Tace Morgan right now. Like as a 40-year-old and 12-year-old, I feel like that'd be pretty absurd. But his dad, Mike, is super badass. Me and Mike have beers at the races.
Nice.
And talk about this, that, and the other. They were from Idaho. And, there's all kinds of things that, I almost, you're cultivating relationships with parents now, which obviously the kids see, and they're like, oh, Wes is cool. Go shoot with him. Go do this, that, or the other. So
and that blossoms over decades as they become pros, and you maintain those relationships. And when it comes time to shoot them, when they're at the top of the sport, they know you, they trust you.
It becomes a hell of a lot easier. And especially like, you use a Ken or a Cooper or Jet or Hunter as an example. They're used to, if they're doing a big shoot, they just know it's hard. Like if Hollywood setup's coming in, they just know it's going to be one bullshit of a day and they hate it. Pulling teeth to get them to do stuff, but it's, hey, Wes is going to roll in with a small team and knock this out. They're like, oh, thank the heavens. Because they know we're there to do a job. We're going to do it as fast and as efficient as we can and get out of their hair as fast as we can. Not, let's, one more time. And if Pastrana was here, I would have just had to do 60 push-ups, which I'm not going to do. But, I think because of that, it's a hell of a lot easier for me to get jobs because they're like, oh, hell yeah, it's Wes and Danny showing up to do this. We know it's going to be a 30-minute thing instead of an 8-hour thing. So, sometimes you might sacrifice some production quality, but at least if you get the athlete and the personality and the things that you want out of them, it's a lot easier to do that when they appreciate you being there versus like,
they're a lot more cooperative.
Yeah. And like, hey man, I need you to do this 3 times instead of 300. All right, man, I'll give you all my effort instead of just,
how many times do I have to do this? Yeah.
All right, whatever, dude. It's like, yeah, it's and you just get a different product because of that, I think.
If you ride motorcycles long enough, you start to realize it's not about if something bad will happen, it's about when. And when it does, having the right people in your corner makes all the difference. That's why I've partnered with my friends at Rider Justice. They're not just a law firm, they're actually riders. They understand the risks we take every time we throw a leg over the bike, and they're here to support specifically the motorcycle community. From helping you understand insurance coverage to being by your side to help you through the process and provide you with resources if you ever happen to find yourself in an accident. But what I really respect is what they do beyond that. Educating riders to be more prepared, hosting crucial safety training, showing up to events, supporting the community, embedding themselves in the culture, and actively working to make the roads safer for all of us. You can learn more and find the resources that you might need at riderjustice.com. With all your experience over all these years, what's the biggest lesson you've learned as a filmmaker?
I have a lot of mantras. And I've already said one of them, you're only as good as the deadlines you hit. So,
if you can't get the job done, who cares what job you get?
Doesn't matter. So I've always said, if you got to do what it takes to get the job done. And it's point A to point B, dude. I don't care what happens in between. If Red Bull hires me at point A to get them to point B,
no excuses.
They don't give a shit hey man, my car broke down, the plane didn't take off. They do not give one shit. They hired you at point A to do this. They expect point B. So when anybody in my ecosystem, oh man, this, that, the other happened. All right, man, I'm willing to brush this off a time or two. But if it becomes a consistent thing, that probably just means that's who you are. And you need to start looking yourself in the mirror. I've never once given an excuse.
I love that.
Ever. Because it just doesn't make sense. Honestly, I don't give a shit.
Even if there's a legitimate excuse, just you got to take it.
You got to take it, and you got to figure out how to get your shit done. Because that's, as a professional and an entrepreneur, if you want your business to succeed, there are no excuses. So you got to figure it out no matter what. And if it means staying up till 3 o'clock or for 3 days straight, I think I work hard. I work with Jason Baker at Dream Tracks a lot. You should hear some of that dude's stories of flying to Australia or Russia to go do X Fighters, and it rains this, that, or the other. Those dudes have done 4-day stints with no sleep.
Yeah.
With eating bagels in a tractor to get tracks done.
It's insane.
And I'm just like, there's things that I hear other people do that I'm like, I don't have that. I don't have that
dog in me.
That's crazy. I can stay up 48 hours. Done plenty of those. After that, it becomes, and I'm like, so there, I still, Jason Baker to this day, like last night, he was at my house and red-eyed homed after building Elsinore shit all week, sun up to sundown in a tractor.
I need to get him on the podcast. That'd be a cool conversation.
Yeah, you do. We have a lot of great projects together, and he's a book of knowledge of some very cool things. And last night he red-eyed home, going straight to Bithlo today to be a mechanic for his son. And every time I talk to him, he's like, yeah, always the red eye home, going straight into something. And so, but that's the thing. If you want to be successful and run a few different parallel businesses, like, you can't have an excuse. You got to do what it takes, and you got to grind. And I don't necessarily want to grind as hard as him.
You got to be careful you don't burn out too.
Yeah, I've heard you say that. You got to find the balance between burnout and
you got to grind
passion.
when you have to, but like you can't do that forever.
Yeah. And so that's the thing. Like, you're not going to outwork me. Jason Baker could outwork me, and he's one of the very few dudes. And I'm like, hats off to you. I'm very glad you don't do what I do, bro.
Yeah.
Because if you would be a staunch competitor if you were in my space. So I'm really glad I don't have to build tracks against Jason Baker.
That's some really good advice for like a young up and coming filmmaker. Just no excuses. If you get hired for a job, like get the job done, deliver it on time, no matter what it takes.
Because I will say this, dude, there's plenty of times like I say, hey, you're responsible for this part of this production if you're in my team. And if I get hey man, I didn't get this done. It's Friday night. Here's the project file. How bad does that piss me off? Like, we need it. It's supposed to be done on Monday and it's the weekend now, but you didn't get it done on Friday. So now I get the project file. So now I get to spend my weekend doing the job I paid you to do.
Yeah.
It's bullshit.
Dude, you'll never work with them again.
And like, there's plenty of relationships that have faltered because of that. Because like now in my ecosystem, if you don't do what you say you're going to do for me, I plan my life. I have 2 kids now. Back in the day, maybe it wasn't that big of a deal. Cool, man, I'll work through the weekend. But like, no, I'm promising my wife and kids that we do things. I can't, you got to find that balance of life. And you know, when I start becoming heavy, my life's already weighted pretty heavy work-wise. And as soon as it starts weighting even more, like my wife doesn't mind if we go on a month or 2 sprint, but as soon as it starts heavily affecting my personal life, it's all right. Either
you got to find other more reliable people to
either that, or I'm just going to quit saying yes to this work. There's plenty of times that I say yes to work to help feed the people around me. But if the people around me don't pitch in to help get this product done, then all right, I'd rather make less money
and just support yourself
and just support myself.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of times in the recent years, especially since my kids are getting older now, like my answer is no. Like, I just don't want to do this stuff because I know I'm like, sometimes if everybody in the ecosystem is really busy right now, or they have things going on, if I don't know that I have 100% reliable people, and I just don't want to do it, which is tough. Like, saying no to money, especially in this day and age, is a tough thing to do.
Saying no is important though, in the right times.
So, I that's the ebbs and flows of business, and even the ebbs and flows of a dad and a husband and a personal life. Like, you don't have kids yet. You're about to get married. I think there's a lot of new things that you continue to learn. And that, you talk about burnout and doing all these jobs. You still got to get them done. Cause like, again, if you say yes to someone, you got to do it.
Yeah.
Now I think in my life though, I've just become efficient at everything. If there's a shortcut on the keyboard that saves me 3 minutes a day, I've learned it. I programmed my whole keyboard to just, like, my wife watches me edit because she likes to edit too. And she's just like,
The hell?
She's like, you're tight. It's just like, I'm sitting here. And she's like, you edit at like lightning speed. And so, but that, I'm able to do probably a day's worth of editing in 2 or 3 hours because I'm just that insanely efficient.
That's why you can't charge hourly for jobs.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's like you get fucked over. You're like, I make less because I'm good.
I definitely would. But that's good on me though, right?
Yeah,
if I can figure out the efficiencies of shooting and editing, and cool, now I just like you, you talk about complacency and wanting to push boundaries is a lot. Every time I do figure out a 3-hour gap in my life because of efficiencies I've created, all I do is fill that 3-hour gap with something more. But, that's part of being an entrepreneur, I suppose.
Yeah. The curse of the quicker you get your work done, the more work you have.
Yep.
But
yep.
What other advice would you give to like a young up and coming filmmaker who's trying to find his way in this space?
This is one thing it might be controversial. But it's one I have thought about a lot. There's a lot of kids that hear Hollywood rates, the amount of money I make or someone else makes, and they want to come in and charge,
right off the rip.
Right off the rip. Hey, dude, I just got a $3,000 camera, and I hear you make $1,500 a day or $2,500 a day. And it's like, yeah, dude, but I'm bringing $200,000 worth of equipment to a shoot,
and 20 years of experience,
And so there's just so many kids that, number one, want to charge this. And like, there's times I'm in a pinch. All right, screw it, I'll pay it. And then they don't deliver.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating. And guess what? As soon as that happens, not only did you charge me top rate, and I tried to come to something more reasonable, you wouldn't, but I was in a pinch. So I'm going to say yes, expecting you're going to do what you say you're going to do. And then you don't. I'm never working with you again. I think my advice is this. Look at your client. If they're not a Red Bull or a Monster Energy or someone that's a big brand, or even if you're trying to get your foot in the door, be reasonable and flexible and realistic with your rate and where you are in life. And and just because you've heard someone makes good amount of money, I'm a crazy professional bringing an insane amount of experience and equipment to a shoot. I should make that money. If you're someone just starting out with a $3,000 camera, it's okay to charge an extreme lesser amount. And honestly, sometimes for free. Sometimes the education is worth more than $1. To this day, if the right person invites me on the right job, I will come and grind it for 18 hours for not a damn dollar. I'll pay my own gas if I know the education and maybe even connections that I'm going to get out of something might lead to something better. So it's not about the dollar. Like, I get it. Sometimes I got to pay rent. I got to do that, the other. But guess what? If you're going to be so stuck on the amount of money that's what I charge and I'm not going to back off of it. Well, cool. Now you've just lost me as a client forever.
Yeah.
And guess what? If I'm calling as Vurbmoto is a small business. Realize that and be willing to get your foot in the door with someone and come way down off your rate just to get your foot in the door sometimes and learn and realize like, oh, my ego won't let me do this. Well, guess what, dude? You're probably not as good as you think you are. And there's probably 100 more people that are willing to do the job that I'm asking you to do. So I don't know. It just drives me crazy that so many times that I'll hit someone up for the first time and, there's someone starting out and they just give me some egregious number.
Yeah. It's like what they've been taught or something.
Or heard.
Yeah.
And there's just like, it's like the 180-degree shutter rule. So many people are like, oh, you got to shoot 180-degree shutter. No, you don't. No, you don't. You shoot what you want to shoot.
Well, it's just like you had to gain trust with these writers over years and years of putting in the work. You have to gain trust with brands.
Absolutely.
You can't just come out of obscurity with no experience and then say like, I'm a top level director and I get these rates.
Right. I'm
working. And like, you're not working with Red Bull. If you're talking to Vurbmoto, like it's a small little company.
And if I'm calling it as Red Bull, cool. That's like, I'm probably going to pay you more anyways.
But the only reason Red Bull is calling you is because you're at that level.
Right.
So like the fact that you're not working with Red Bull, like what makes you think that you can charge these rates?
Yeah.
But there's this balance of like, know your worth and your value and don't undersell yourself, but know your client and don't oversell yourself. Like be realistic. And also it's going to take a lot of hard work to get to where you want. So sometimes you might have to work for free if it's the right opportunity that's going to lead to other opportunities, or work for cheap.
I agree. Like there's nothing, just because you do it sometime for cheap doesn't mean I'm calling the next time and expect that to be your rate.
Mm-hmm.
No, don't get me wrong. There's some people that will take advantage of you.
You grow with people.
And honestly, like, come show your worth and show me how hard you work. And the people around me, the Danny Stews, Eli Moores, Jason Crane, there's so many people that have been part of my ecosystem from day one that are still part of it because they work their ass off. They do what they say they're going to do, and they're extremely talented. I will pay those dudes what they're worth because they proved it for 2 decades. If you're someone new coming in and you're like, you got 2 years of experience, you're not going to make as much money as Danny Stew, nor should you.
Yeah. The opportunities grow. Those guys were out like running around in the dirt at amateur motocross races with you for next to nothing. Now you guys get to work on Red Bull projects and big projects together because you've earned that. They've earned your trust and respect, and like it just doesn't happen overnight. Yeah. So that's good advice.
I've always been I haven't figured out the conversion, but you know, I mentioned equipment, and I don't know the percentage, but it's like if you got a $3,000 setup, you just went and bought a Sony A7 IV. If you're coming with a $3,000 setup and you don't even have a nice microphone on your camera, you're using internal, you don't get to charge as much as me. Okay. You can't charge $1,500 a day with a $3,000 setup. You shouldn't even charge $1,500 a day with a $30,000 setup. Just because you've heard it or read it on the internet and know your worth and everything. But sometimes it's looking in the mirror too and realizing maybe I'm not even that, maybe my worth isn't that. Just because someone can charge that doesn't mean I can.
Yeah.
Got to get your foot in the door some way or another. And if you're just going to, I don't know, I've just seen so many people falter there and not end up going anywhere because they're like, I'm not backing down off this rate. Well, cool. You just lost probably 3 people. Like the
opportunity cost is a lot greater than
what you're making that one day.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good way to put it. So I don't know. I've never said that out loud, but I almost feel like that's the best advice that I could give to a lot of kids.
Great.
Like if I'm willing, literally Ryan Walters the other day was asking me like, hey dude, I got this really cool job. I'd love to have it on. Like, let's revel in some nostalgia on this. And he's like, let's talk about rate. And I'm like, honestly, dude, I don't know what you got, but if you want to pay me good, pay me good. Honestly, I'll come for freaking free if you want me to.
That's cool.
Like, I'm willing to do it because number one, I want the experience. It sounds like a cool ass project. And even though you're Ryan Walters and it might be a monster project, I know you probably got money for it, but I'm willing to come do it for free because I know the doors that it could open or how much fun it's going to be or the experience it's going to have. Him and Dirt Shark are crazy talented. I'd love just to go there as a 4th camera and like see how they do something different than I do something. Maybe I can pick up on nuances that's really fun about their productions that I don't do. I can learn from anybody. And it's having the ego letting go of the ego to realize like I'm willing to go do that for free.
Yeah. Great
and
advice.
I still know my worth. I still know my worth plenty. And just because I go do something for free doesn't mean, I know I work for free. No.
It's great advice, dude. I love that. Let's talk about the Vurb transitional period. So you guys had a good 9-10 year stretch of crushing it at peak Vurb time. And then it seemed like the partners all kind of started maybe moving in different directions. I know Clint, he was going into the family business, starting his leather company, working with his Western wear shop, his family business. And I know Campo was really focused on the print product, and you were doing a lot more of this like work with Red Bull and things that were keeping you busy. I don't know the whole dynamics there. I was kind of like,
you're
watching
on the
from the outside.
Yep.
I was just trying to do my thing, but like, I'm curious, like, you probably don't want to go into details, but what was that time like when Vurb, the partnership was kind of splitting up and you guys put the brand on pause?
It was tough. Just like you, I've heard you say this, spent 10 years or however many years building something that was your baby and something that you loved. It was everything. It was your entire identity.
Vurb Wes.
Yeah.
Like it's who you are.
And so while Clinton, Adam, and Andrew might have felt ownership of this thing, it was like truly my baby. And I think Transworld had just sold and for a good amount of money. And they looked at it as, oh, wow, like someone's buying properties in our space for this much money. They saw it as a good out. But like, of course, I saw it as like, well, if someone comes and buys us, what the hell am I going to do? And granted, I was definitely finding my way in the production world and making really good money on that side. Vurb was still paying us pennies. So, of course, that's why they wanted to sell. If it could have been a good payday, perhaps that would have been a good thing. But, of course, in my mind, I'm like, this is my identity. It's who I am. I didn't want to just do production work.
Yeah.
And so that started kind of sowing some division probably. And everybody Andrew was really concentrated on meta with you at the time. Clint was doing his thing. Adam, was a incredible developer. But I felt like I was the only one, like,
He's a free spirit.
yeah. And I felt like I was the only one, like, living and breathing it day to day. And, like, when you're making pennies, it was frustrating. I knew what Vurb could be, perhaps, and I didn't feel like I had the support internally and even financially. A lot of the money was going to partners versus letting us reinvest internally. And so, when they wanted to kind of start seeking out someone to buy it, I was just like, I'm not really on board with that. So, they brought in a new CEO and kind of not necessarily ousted me. They gave me the option to still be involved, but I got kicked out of kind of my position. And at that point in time, like I've been kind of anti-authority my whole life. So when I got, I kind of got blindsided on a phone call with lawyers and this, that,
you got pushed out of Vurb? I didn't.
Well, I didn't get pushed out because I still had my ownership and equity, but I got pushed out of, like, let's say, the CEO position at the time. And so they're like, well, we still want you involved because, like, you can help us grow this and sell it. And I'm like, that's not what I want. I don't want it.
Yeah.
And sure, in retrospect, I'm 10 years removed from that. They had kids. They were in a different part of their life. I was 27 years old, free spirited as hell. And again, it was my identity. I had no desire whatsoever to sell Vurb. And so, almost out of angst and animosity, I was like, cool, I just won't take a paycheck, and you guys do what you want. If you go sell it, you go sell it. If you don't, you don't. And so I basically stepped away for a whole year, and that was from 16 to 17. And at the beginning of 17, they called and said, hey, we got to get a loan to keep this going. And they obviously needed my signature on a piece of paper. And I was just like, yeah, I'm not into that. So we're going to shut it down and take the little bit of money in here and divide it up, and basically came to the agreement that we would never reboot it or anything. And it hurt. The animosity I had at that point in time in my life, it was hard. I forget all of them that, I had hatred in. It was my baby, and I literally just killed my baby.
I can't believe that, man.
And it was tough, dude. Years I carried this weight, and now, though, I have a completely different perspective because where I'm at in life and what I learned from that, I'm glad it happened. And I'm glad I learned so much about business in that time, and it allowed me to go do what I did. I left that and went and concentrated on production, made really good money, and learned how to run massive projects and be a project manager, a producer, an executive producer, an editor. Every job role you can imagine, I learned along with being a CEO and a business owner. And it gave me a new perspective and lease on life because of the things that it propelled me to do. I think had Vurb stayed around, it was still, I was concentrating on Vurb a lot. So the fact that I was able to go and focus on this one thing, which was production for years and years, it was a blessing in disguise. And so ironically, Adam Patterson still lives here in San Clemente, and Clint and Andrew and I have talked a lot over the past handful of years since I've kind of let this go. Adam was like kind of the outlier because I almost feel like he was one of the biggest catalysts for how some of it went down. So I did still have this angst. Not necessarily the past few years, I've let it go. But earlier summer when we moved here, we met up with Adam, and it's like I gave him a hug, and he's like, man, we squashed a lot of things in that moment, and giving him a hug felt really good. And I thanked him. I said, hey, dude, like I understand. He's like 10 years older than me and had a different perspective on business and where he wanted to go in life. And I can appreciate that now. And they were probably right at the time. I had so much ego as this 27-year-old kid that's doing all this stuff. And that shit doesn't matter to me anymore. I have I honestly feel like I've looked in the mirror so much because of that like I now say there's no ego in any of this.
Yeah.
Like going back to not needing to I'll do things for free because I don't have that ego. Or if you need to tell me something, all right, you know what? I'll take that with wholeheartedly and like really reflect on what you told me, what I need to improve on. Or like, like when someone gives you revisions on the edit or a magazine article or a design and you're like, yeah, you know what? No, you know what? All right, cool. Like if we need to make these revisions, like you paid me to do that, we're going to do that. Like, I don't need to tell you why I did this or why I made that decision to edit it that way. Like that's what you want. You're the client. I'm going to do it. So I've almost realized through all that, like looking in the mirror and getting rid of an ego almost is just as helpful as anything.
Sucks that you have to go through so much pain and like heartache to like have these learnings,
Well, that's why I said it's silver linings though.
because those like rock bottom moments end up being like really powerful times in your life that like you generally go on a better path. You
Yeah.
learn something from it. You become a better person.
As long as you are the person that learns from it.
right. You can, yeah, because you could like fall into negativity and resentment and fear rather than like finding, a better way to move forward. But a lot of times, like the worst things that happen to us end up being things that we wouldn't trade.
Yeah.
Because
I told Adam that. I was like, I wouldn't change anything.
yeah,
I'd want it to go down exactly how it went down. Now, in reflection, maybe I wouldn't want to carry the weight of that angst as long as I did.
let go of it sooner.
Let
Yeah.
go of it sooner.
Yeah.
But, we obviously called them in 2020 to buy Vurb back, and they were completely receptive of it and let it happen. And I that's probably when I finally came full circle and was like, you know what, these are really good dudes. And I felt bad for carrying that angst for so long.
I think it's reasonable to feel that way.
Yeah.
You poured your heart and soul
Yeah.
into this thing since you were a kid.
Yep.
Since
And spent every single dollar on it.
Yeah.
Every dollar that I'd ever made. The only loan I've ever gotten from my grandma to start the thing, we went and asked for $6,000 and she gave it to me.
That's cool.
And when I had that kind of ownership in this, like I had to ask my family for money to start this, and here people that I led into this circle are the ones that shut it down essentially. It was heartbreaking. It was
And
very tough.
the intangible investments, just the
Oh, God, Derek.
sleepless nights of
Yeah.
work and the amount of stress and dedication that went into like making Vurb what it was. And then that's kind of pulled away from you. It's a hard pill to swallow to just let that go. So like having animosity in that moment is understandable. I'm
Yeah.
stoked that you were able to come to the point though and like let it go, shed that animosity because it's not good for you.
Yeah. Well, and another thing I lost was best friends.
Yeah.
I had 3 best friends. And even back to like the Ben Bixby on Allegiance, like he was my best friend. And because this,
That's why they say never go into business with friends or family.
but you know what?
It's-
I've done nothing but that.
Yeah.
I almost, I was talking to someone the other day, and I'd prefer now that I've done it, I'd rather do it with my friends. Because I know how to run a business. I know how to talk to people, and I know how to be receptive now instead of combative or defensive. If you got a problem, like even in the Vurb days, I bet a lot of that could have been solved with proper communication. I didn't have those skills. I don't think they did either back then. And I've learned, especially with a wife now and kids, communication's everything. And like my partner with Vurb, Brent Stallo, and I, like we've gotten in 2 or 3 arguments in our entire 20 years. And especially now, I've just realized, hey man, communication is everything. And even if I'm working with a client or anything, if I'm upfront and honest about how I'm feeling about things, instead of letting animosity build, it just helps you get through it. And there's no point in harnessing that emotion and internalizing it, because all it does is build. And
It's
now,
toxic.
and then it turns toxic.
Yeah.
So you want to get it out. Like, yeah, you basically get sepsis because of it. So like, I think through all that, I've learned, all right, hey, let's communicate and just be better people. And as long as you communicate, you get through most anything.
Yeah, totally. I couldn't agree more.
And a lot of times, though, that does take looking in the mirror, which is tough for most people. Self-awareness is probably the hardest thing most people don't have in this world.
Like you're a part of it.
Yeah, you might be the problem. And a lot of times it's hard to admit that. And so if you keep having the same thing happen to you,
Why?
why?
Yeah.
And you got to realize you're the pattern. And sometimes it means you got to fix a small part of yourself. It doesn't mean you got to reinvent yourself. But yeah, I can definitely say back then I had no communication skills and I was so defensive and like, I'm right. And I have this ego. I've built this so much by myself, my own blood, sweat, and tears. You guys don't know anything. That wasn't true. They were a huge part of it.
Some of it's true, but it's like not fully true. You know?
100%. So
Yeah.
it's like whatever you're able to build in your mind, but looking in the mirror a lot is the strongest thing that you can do.
So in 2020, you guys relaunched the brand.
Yeah.
What's different this time? What is it? Is it the same old Vurb or is it a new thing?
Well, it's what's about to be different. We bought Vurb back knowing full well what our intentions were, which was technology. And ironically, back to 2013 with Adam Patterson, our developer, crazy talented. I had all these ideas for tech. A lot of work, a lot of money, a lot of resources. And I just remember Adam asked me one day, like, it's a lot of time and money and effort. What if it doesn't work? And I've just never operated on that. What do you mean? What if it doesn't work? Of course it's going to work. And I think that's honestly kind of even where our break started to happen. I wanted to do all these things back then that I wasn't capable of. He was. And the fact that my group wasn't willing to invest in my ideas technologically, like I remember just being so mad about it. So anyways, I'd seen these gaps in technology in our sport. Well, shit, action sports in general. Well before then, I've always been on the cutting edge of technology and what things in technology could do. And so anyways, 2020, Brent and I were talking like, hey man, like he was in software and he's like, hey man, if we get this back and do all those technological things that we used to talk about doing, we could change the sport. So I was like, well, the problem is if we just start a new brand, we got years and years and millions of dollars probably in investment even building a brand. I'm like, the only way to do this is either one, skirt the legality and we start like VRBmoto.com or whatever. I have all these domain names that I bought back in the day for Vurb. So I had these like fringe domain names around Vurbmoto. And one day he goes, hey dude, what if I just called Campo and Adam and Clint and just asked them? I'm like, well, shit. I guess all I could say is no. And literally from the first conversation that we got on, they were completely receptive of it. And they're like, honestly, we would love nothing more if you guys brought this back and brought it to its former glory. And I just remember being so relieved and happy. And so we had this idea of technology. We had absolutely no idea how we were going to get to it because it's years of product development, millions of dollars worth of financial investment. How the hell are we going to do either? And all right, well, the only thing to do is start. We could start meeting with people and developers and road mapping this thing, see what it would take, what it would cost. And so last year, we finally launched a shell of what it's going to be, but Vurbmoto Prospect app. We basically want to become the technological backbone of our sport. So much of the information from race results, live timing, content, just everything is so siloed out in our sport. If you want to find videos live timing, you're going to have to click on 20 damn Google links, including on Vurbmoto, to hopefully get to the right place to figure out Tace Morgan's winning the freaking 85, 12 to 14 class. We basically wanted to normalize all this big data and aggregate it, defragment it into one central hub. Sounds easy. It's not. But between the political landscape alone and who owns the data, where the data lives and is the servers, AMA, there's a ton of moving pieces through all this. So we've been navigating so much of this for the better part of the last 5 years, knowing that this was our end goal. In the meantime, we've done status quo on Vurb. Like, cool, let's go run races. Let's keep the website going. We got a great Instagram following. Let's do content. Vurb in itself is a fun side business, but it would never support what we needed. Obviously, with production and Brent's specialty in software, we've been able to have the financial resources to keep Vurbmoto itself going, and Vurb probably floats on its own 2 feet. But in this day and age, to do what we do, it's not cheap. And you want to get the people in the right place to do the right things. Definitely ain't cheap. So it's definitely been a struggle and doubling down on ourselves time and time again. And just every time you get back to a corner, like, all right, the only way to get comfortable is being uncomfortable. And like, all right, let's double down. Let's do it again and again and again. And like, you run into a roadblock. Well, hey, this functionality is going to cost this much more. Oh, well, we didn't realize this relationship's going to cost this much money. Getting access to this is going to cost this much money. And getting everybody in the right rooms and right conversations to have happen. But it wouldn't have happened without the 20 years of Vurb relationships that we built. If we were to have started a new brand, it wouldn't have mattered if we were Wes and Brent with Ride Beyond. It would have been very tough for us to get our foot in the door with a lot of the people that we've been just pounding.
Yeah, Vurb has that reputation.
So, and it's even with our relationships with all these people, it's taking the better part of the last year to get some of the licenses in place that we need to take the next steps. So, we soft launched last year in March just to get people,
Back on the website.
well, the website has been fine, but just like you were talking about people reading a magazine, it's just as hard getting people to read a website in this day and age, right? So it's very easy to get someone to watch 3 seconds on Instagram. It's very hard to get them to watch 8 seconds on Instagram, much less drive the website traffic. So, obviously as Vurbmoto, we're like, all right, you can't sell banner ads traditionally anymore. If we want to go get Michelin and motorsport.com and Fox and like good people on board with us, we have to offer more than just banner ads, like which pretty much all you used to have to do.
Yeah.
So, we're doing the Vurb Shred Tour, which is a gnarly endeavor. Here we are doing 12 events a year, which doesn't seem like that much, but it's a lot. We're doing Vurb, we're doing production work, we're doing asset delivery, everything to help make ends meet. And by the time you stack it all, it's an egregious amount of work.
On top of your day job.
On top of the day job, and chasing the tech side of this. So like, all right, you still got to have your mindset and mentality to chase a completely different side of your business that's not even live yet. You got to still have it up here and still have the financial resources to invest on a completely different side 3 years from now that you hope that you're going to get to the starting line. So we're basically on the precipice of launching this whole new Vurbmoto endeavor. So yes, the app has been out for the last year since March.
Okay.
But we've been stress testing it, building our relationships, getting deals signed, getting data licenses that we need in place. And the whole next step of this hopefully leads us to becoming, a good word here is ubiquitous in the sport. If you're at a race, if you're at Lake Elsinore, you're on our app seeing your live timing, and it's, basically the...
What about pro racing?
Yeah, working on all that, working on everything.
Wow.
We are trying to centralize all big data for our sport. So, there's just differences of, it's just like NFL stats and results and metrics. So someone owns that, right? So for us to get pro racing, or whether it's live timing or results, or being able to build statistical analysis on some of this stuff.
Well, also you're taking traffic.
You got to pay for it.
You're taking traffic from their site too. So,
in theory, in some degrees, but yes, I mean, all right, well, so now we got to pay for this. So, but just like, people in NFL, they pay a lot of big money. AWS pays a lot of money to NFL to pay for this data. So we've just realized, but what's cool though is no one else in our sport is doing this. No one's going and approaching the entities at B. They didn't even realize their data was monetizable. So now that we're bringing them this whole new revenue stream, I think it's very eye-opening for them, and definitely not a lane that they were even considering or going to go down.
That's cool.
Like, hey, now we're 3 years ahead and millions of dollars deep. For you guys to catch up, by the time you did catch up, we're going to be another 3 years ahead. So it's almost like we're in a very unique spot now where we can become the technological backbone of our sport, and that's going to be the next evolution of Vurbmoto.
That's epic.
But yeah, our goal now is to...
Is this an app you can download in the App Store right now?
Vurbmoto Prospect app. So yeah, go to
I'm
Apple.
going to check it out.
So our goal, though, is to enhance a lot of the really cool data from especially amateur races. You being able to go on, and we're literally propagating all the race metrics, lap times, and everything, and it's automatically curated to your profile. There's nothing that you have to do. It's all automated. So we're tracking like 190,000 amateur motocross racers right now, and all the profiles are automatically updated. So our hope is just that you go to a race, and now instead of like all you could look at was live timing on a website before, and now you go to the app and you're able to see all kinds of metrics and data and compare yourself. You and Mike could go and say, compare yourselves and look at all your race data right after your race. And it's just like a cool new...
That's cool.
...thing for the sport that'll help. Basically, we're gamifying...
That's fun.
...so much of the amateur side. And right now it's mainly racing. Obviously, we want to go to the enthusiast side, but we got to get into wearables and GPS and all that kind of stuff. Right now, it's really...
Almost like a Moto Strava even.
Yeah. You know? I mean, that's the goal. I mean, we aspire to follow in Strava's footsteps.
That's sick, dude.
In a very different way, because they don't have race metrics, and, they're not necessarily cemented in a sport. Like, I think Moto, even though it's a niche... I think it's a really fun one. So they don't, they have a massive niche of dudes trying to figure out whatever their times are on mountain bikes or running, but they don't have race results and lap times and that kind of stuff. So it's really similar, but really different at the same time. So now we can basically track someone's entire career though, from Cooper Webb. Ideally, we end up getting all historical data at some point, all the way to their pro thing. So you'd be able to stack Adam, Cianciarulo, and Cooper Webb up and,
That's
hey,
sick.
just look at their amateur careers. And now we can really define who was the better amateur racer.
Whoa. That's
So there,
cool.
it's really fun. And I think as we get into it, especially the technology that we have on the back end, companies, brands, even all the powers that be in our sport are going to realize how much technology can help us bridge the gap to new fans and make our sport bigger.
And tell the stories. Like this gives information to the broadcasters to tell deeper, richer stories about these athletes in their past, and their statistics and records. And
what's so cool is Weege, Zach Heron, so many people at these, Kevin Kelly at the races, we built them a back-end tool with some AI analysis that if they need Tace Morgan, it automatically like writes
exactly
their a little synopsis of their career, but then it also gives analysis of their entire year so far.
Saves them like hours of research.
Hours of research. So like even if you're a brand now, you're able to go see all of Tace Morgan's metrics from 1 year, literally with the click of a button, versus how many hours would you have spent building a spreadsheet of like, here's his Mammoth results, here's his Loretta Lynn qualifiers results. We're stacking it all automatically. So it's going to become a pretty insane tool, whether you're a rider, brands, or a team manager.
Amazing, dude. I love that.
That's the next echelon. Like we've been pretty quiet about it because we haven't really entered the user acquisition phase yet because of so many of the relationships that had to get signatures on paper. It's very hard to go after people with the promise of something until until I know we can deliver on.
You don't want to like push people to the product too much until it's really fully there.
Yep. Because I also don't want you calling and being like, dude, this is wrong, this is wrong, this wrong was. And it's like, well, yeah, we don't have access to that data yet. It's coming. So like, I don't want to have to sit there and explain that time and time again. So, it's been a great year. We've at least gotten enough people on there, especially during big races, to stress test and know that our technology scales to what it can be.
Well, it's kind of like I wear a Whoop. It's like a fitness wearable.
Of course, I know.
I've been wearing it for like 5 years. It's very basic when I first got the app, but like every year they're adding new features. So you're kind of growing with the app as it goes. So I feel like this is the same thing. You can start using the app for what it is right now, and just with the knowledge that it's going to continue to grow and improve. And
we basically looked at every problem on the technological side of the sport and said, how do we fix that? And the biggest thing I get to pat ourselves on the back for is, as we built this, we realized it only uplifts everybody because no one had to really chase this technological side of our sport. It doesn't hurt anybody. And we look at like from tracks to riders to brands to other businesses, live timing and scoring, MX Sports, Felds. Sure, we might take some page views, but what are page views at this day and age? But ultimately, it lifts everybody up. We give B2C pathways, B2B pathways, so many things that are going to help up level everybody, and we're not taking anything from anybody. And even on the marketing side, our mission is like, hey, we do need ad budget, but because we're so many performance analytics, like we kind of get a different level of different part of their budgets. Instead of going after marketing budget and saying, hey, we want you to pull your money from BYND or Swap or anybody. It's like, no, we want you to actually invest more in them. We want your dollars that you're spending on Facebook per se. Help take some of those marketing budgets and invest here. And we're going to show you how utilizing that money that you were using over here actually helps you way more over here, but helping, making sure that everybody, whether it's you or Swap or Racer X and us on the Vurbmoto side, that those marketing budgets need to stay there because it's just as important that everybody else floats as it is for us to float, right?
We're all in this together.
We're all in this together.
Yeah.
And I think that's a unique part of our mindset too, is like, I've never been enemies necessarily with anybody.
Yeah, same.
Whether it was Insider MX and Wozni in 07 or 08, like rode down with those dudes. And then
that's cool. That's the way to be.
Amateur MX and Final Lap, I always try to be friendly and awesome with everybody and be a resource.
We're all in this together, dude.
Yeah.
We're all trying to survive and make this industry better and live the dream together. So,
and like you probably you know me enough by now, like literally anybody can call me like, hey man, I really need this or this. I'm like, cool man, if I got it, you got it.
Yeah. Dude, so back to filmmaking. We've talked about how you started with like full-length movies.
Yeah.
And then eventually became more online publishing, shorter films. And now we're talking about Instagram reels and like short form videos.
Yeah.
Where do you see the future of media going?
That is such a good question. And it's funny, when Vurb shut down, I remember so much of, TikTok coming out and Instagram getting to what it was. And I remember thinking so much, I'm so glad I'm not in that world to have to figure that out anymore. And here I am right back in the thick of it. It's hard to say where it's going to go because, just like your magazine or written articles or videos, I think there's always a place for the high end stuff. But, as you said, there's a lot of space for authenticity and someone and personality. Like, I think that's why low budget stuff does so well right now, because you get to feel the realness of something. And when the higher end production stuff probably eliminates some of that. It's still really pretty and fun to watch, but you kind of lose the personality side.
That was the shit like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
10, 15 years ago. I think now people don't care that much about the high end production anymore.
I agree.
It's just weird.
I think it's middle ground, because like even watching like the logged out monster video that came out the other day, unfreaking real. And then the Eras thing that came out with Pastrana Land, and granted that's still high production value, but mixed a little bit with a lot of great personality. So, I think good brand managers and marketing managers are going to figure out how to maybe blend the two, because I still think there's space and need for both. So I think the only thing that drives me crazy is perhaps the TikToks and the Instagram, because like there's no way to really get ROI on that. You're doing that literally just for brand awareness.
You're just trying to get engagement.
So it's tough, because now, like, I've heard you say this, but like, you got to go back and, it's not just doing this. You got to edit it. Then you got to not only edit this, but the cut downs. And then you got to get some stuff to advertisers. You got to do that. Like, it ends up being 3 full-time jobs. It's not just sitting here and recording this. Back when we started Vurb, it was like literally just go make a video and then you were done. But now I spend an entire day with Will editing down freaking the amount of social stuff in this. Since we do asset delivery, we're giving this person this person this. So Era's Pastrana Land, there ends up being 80 deliverables out of that go to how many different people. So not only do you got to build them, but now you're emailing them, putting them on Dropbox and letting them know that, and now you're tracking it all and giving them monthly reports on, hey, we delivered this and this is what your analytics looked like on that. It's unbelievable. The amount of things that you have to, the complexity is insanity.
Yeah.
So I wish it would get back to the way it used to, but especially in this day of analytics mean everything, I don't really see that, but I still think there's a lot of space for, like, I remember the Vana edit contest that you guys were doing. Insanely talented dudes doing insanely badass work, but there's just as much need for that as the low end production stuff. Like some of the Bob does sports stuff, like it's one camera dude with shitty audio and dudes drinking beer, but that's great. They're doing 4-hour videos, getting millions of views. Obviously, people want that.
Yeah.
And it's definitely harder to get people to watch a very high-end video now, which I personally don't like. It definitely sucks. It all
because it's so hard to do.
It's so hard to do and costs so much money to do.
And we're jaded because as you're scrolling through your feed, everything is epic.
Yeah.
Everything is either like unreal, more engaging than anything any human has ever seen in history before, more vivid and wild and and shocking. And like we're so numb to like the content we're seeing. So now when we see this video that took maybe years of blood, sweat, and tears to create this clip, it's just, that's cool. Next.
It's a gnarly world. And what's crazy is when Vurb shut down in 2016, while we had 8 competitors at most, we had a Trans World swap, or no, I guess it wasn't even swap then, Racer X. You can't probably count on a hand our competitors. And now literally everybody's a competitor.
Everybody's a content creator.
Everybody's a content creator. Tace Morgan's mom's a content creator because she's out there posting him.
Yeah.
And like a lot of times, especially at the amateur ranks, some mom's clip is going to go more viral than Vurbmoto's clip.
Right.
It's insanity. So it's very hard to like find your space in your niche now and get the awareness that you need. So our methodology is just cast a wide net. Like, cool, we have some good Loretta's clips, but we're not just centrally focused on Loretta's that week. We'll have some good throwback stuff that we pre-programmed that week. There's some pro stuff going on. It's all about, as many messages as you can, because in an 8-second world, you're trying to capture everybody. So it's very tough where we live in right now. So where does it go? I don't know, but I personally think, brands like Red Bull or Monster, they're always, they have this high production value brand and they're perceived that way. They're never going to step away from that. So there's always going to be place for people like me and you that do probably a little bit more higher end stuff because that's still needed, but there's still going to be plenty of space for entry level dudes to get their foot in the door. And if you aspire to do this, there's still a pathway. Might be a little bit harder than it used to be, but
There's still a need for it.
there's still a need for it.
Yeah. If you could go back to the young Wes who was doing chores to earn this dirt bike and maybe about to pick up a camera for the first time, what advice would you give him?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one. Because as I said, I wouldn't want to change anything. I think the trajectory of my life, everything's happened for a reason. And I'm happy with where everything's ended up.
You almost didn't need advice. You needed to learn the lesson through experience.
And I think that's the only way to do it. Like, you're never, you could read every book, listen to every podcast, and until you experience it yourself, there's nothing like experience to teach you something. And there's nothing like having to believe in yourself to the point that you're looking at the last $5 in your bank account and being like, here we go. Got to do it. I got to do it. I believe in myself that much. And I'm going to do it again and again and again. And you can't get that from reading something. I mean, if anything, like I was a cocky little freaking son of a bitch, honestly, anti-authority little prick. If anything, I'd be like, hey, dude, just calm down a little bit. But like, I don't know, maybe at that same time, like,
you kind of needed that.
I needed that because, yeah, we're out there doing punk rock shit all the damn time because of it. And I'm definitely not that person necessarily anymore. I still love to drink a beer or two, don't get me wrong. But like, you know,
needed that wild fearlessness, confidence at that stage in your life to do what you did.
Yeah, I would agree. I agree. I think maybe I could just probably treated people a little bit better in some scenarios that I definitely reflect on and like, oh, that's cringe. I remember some certain instances and I'm like, even back to the Vurb thing, I probably said things that like I just would never ever say now. You could just treat people better. You can communicate better. Like that would probably be my advice, especially if you're starting fresh with, you're 20 years old with a group of people. Just communicate.
Yeah.
And be as good a person as you can be.
Don't burn bridges.
Yeah.
Because you never know when you're going to circle back and need that bridge,
Davey Coombs once told me, you shake the same hands going up the ladder as you do going down. And the amount of times I've repeated that in my life is pretty remarkable, but it's so true because you just never know. I've seen a lot of people rise and fall from grace. And maybe I've been on this constant ascension, and I didn't have this crazy up and down, but I've always tried to treat everybody with the respect and dignity that they deserve. Everybody's human. And, as you don't want to burn a bridge because you just never know when you're going to run back into that person, or maybe that person blows past you on this freaking climb and you need that person. You just never know. So it's just, treat everybody the right way.
So say you had unlimited budget and anything that you could do was possible, like what would be your dream moto film project? Any rider, any budget, any location.
So what's funny is, obviously with this app that we're doing, I definitely think we're going to go to new heights, even financially, once we get rolling with it. And I've said to everybody in our world, like, all I want to do is do exactly what we're doing, but way cooler and probably way more. I want to get back to doing platinums and really cool videos. I want to get back to the culture that we used to have. That doesn't make any sense anymore because like there's no ROI in going and doing a platinum. Like, cool, I'll go spend 20, 30 grand to go do something cool. There's no way I can make that money back. So right now I can't afford to do that. But if it can be a marketing expense for us, I would love to bring the culture back, just whatever that means in this day and age. Like being able to go do a cool platinum with a multitude of riders. I'd love to do Barsha Platinum 2.0. Like if I could pick one to do right now, it's probably
insane.
And just go do it at the highest level we can now, because like that's how Volcom and them used to operate. When they used to do movies, they were marketing expenses. All they were trying to do is go spend a couple $100,000 on a movie, get the sickest music, sickest filmers, the sickest helicopters, whatever. It was always just marketing for their brand to get more people wearing Volcom. So obviously my thought process would be like, I'm just after user acquisition at this point in time. I just want to build brand awareness for what we're doing. So if that means I could take marketing budget from over here, go do really cool videos over here, all I want to do is do exactly what I've always done, but better. And I'll be able to afford to do it. Like back when we used to do platinums, Danny, Stu, Walters, and I, like literally, like I said, peanut butter and jelly and probably $200 a day rates, if that. So we were literally doing it for next to nothing. So that's why it's not affordable anymore. Everybody's got to make real money in this. That at our level now, it's not like I can just call and hey dudes, let's go out here for 3 days for nothing. And everybody's like, nah, dude, I got bills, I got car payments, house payments, kids. It doesn't really roll like that anymore. So, ideally, if I could have the, let's say, Red Bull level of money to go do my own stuff, that would be the dream come true. I'd love to do what Red Bull hires us to do. I'd love to be able to do some of that for myself, because as much as I love doing awesome, badass shit for Red Bull and getting those calls, it's their idea, their project, and their vision, which I have to adhere to. There's plenty of times I got things up here that I would love to do what I want to do.
Dude, can you imagine how hyped people would be to see like a new platinum come out? That'd be so sick.
All right, then, let's get Jimmy D. Jimmy D on a CR125. Let's get Barsha. Well, I guess Ducati doesn't make a 125, so we might have to wait a few years for this, but get Barsha back on a 125, even though we just did eras with him. But maybe when he's done with Supercross, we do Barsha Platinum 2.0.
There you go.
I'd love to just remake the entire Platinum series with, like, because we did one with Dean, Durham, Osborne. It'd be fun just to like literally go revisit the ones that we did, redo those. And
that'd be amazing.
Dude, there are some sick amateur racers now that, even going back to their bikes, are just like ungodly badass. I can only imagine if they had the opportunity now to, they just never get that. They don't have the chance to have that kind of highlight anymore. And I think there's a lot of kids that would just Jones at the opportunity to be part of like that level of production and whatever. So it'd just be fun to bring that culture back to our sport again.
Yeah, totally.
So I'd love to. And even since obviously we named it our app Vurbmoto Prospect after our heritage prospects. And
so perfect.
And so I really hope that this next year I want to do Prospects 2026, or I don't know. I don't know what it would title it. And like, just it probably costs 10 or 15 grand in music that you'd still have to pay for YouTube. But like, since we're already going to all these amateur races and we're working with these kids, Camworks, that are super badass. They're like Vurbmoto of 07, but they're going to all the AM stuff now. I would love nothing more than to just do a prospect style thing where it's just like a compilation of footage of like the 40 sickest kids now. And it probably wouldn't get 100,000 views on YouTube. But like, again, back to this story and part of me, we did War Machines in 2015. That was the last thing I did. So it's been literally 10 years since any moto movie has come out. Well, I guess Schweitzer's done like On the Pipe, but, there's no amateur side of things. So I would love nothing more to be able to just do that and be able to invest in that. Cause it's not like it's some egregious amount of money to go do this. It's just time and effort. And it's just very hard to say, hey, I'm going to dedicate this time and effort into doing this when there's 4,000 other things that you got to do to pay the bills.
When you think about the future, do you ever think about like your legacy? Like what legacy do you hope you leave behind once you're retired from all this work?
It's funny. I don't know that I've ever really thought that. But I aspire to be like Davey, Rita, and Kerry Coombs and Tim Cotter. I followed them my entire career. And there's a lot of differing opinions, whether you're amateur racer or freaking Slowy Films, who's like trying to blow out freaking the entire sport of motocross. But if you look at who they are as people and where they've come from to what they are now, it's truly badass. Their dad and mom started this race series and what they've grown it into now. And like, they are
really good people,
and what they do for our sport and continually do for our sport. Tim Cotter worked like 28 events in a row this past year. It's just like, I could never do it. You could tell me, hey, $10 million a year free and clear to do what they do. And I'd be like, I'm probably not into it. So I might do it for 1 year. Don't get me wrong, for that kind of paycheck. But like, I don't think they're making nearly that kind of money, especially individually. So for them to do what they do for their sport and see where their business is, like, again, the entrepreneurial side of me, I look at what they do, and Davey's kind of always been my mentor. And I respect the absolute shit out of it. So just looking at what they built and what they have, and I think what they're going to be remembered as, I hope that, like, I feel like I'm now in my prime. I'm now almost at the age when I met Davey. So when we first started working together in 05, 06, he would have been young 40s. So I'm about to be 40. So like I now look at, I got 20 years to kind of bridge that gap of I mean, not becoming Davey, but like following in his
Give back to
footsteps
the
and
sport.
give back to the sport as much as I can and help build the next echelon of the sport, right? Helping make sure whether it's racing or the technology side or just continuing to build upon what's there in my own way. And again, even hopefully being able to reinvest what we are hopefully going to have back into the sport. I think I'll build another legacy. Like there's plenty of people that remember in the ranks and in the ranks too, but like think about the small subset of people that is. I would love for the amateur racers now to have that same reflection in 10 or 15 years. Like, oh, you remember watching that Vurb stuff? Cause like we don't have that right now. That whole culture that we once built, it just doesn't exist anymore because there's no way for it to exist. Like you can't financially justify what we used to do. When there were 6 dudes living in a motorhome eating peanut butter and jelly for literally $1,000 a month, no one's willing to do that anymore.
No.
So there's no way to even recreate that. So, ideally we win the lottery and we go start Lake Whitney back and do some of this really cool shit.
I love this idea of giving back to the sport. My first episode on this podcast was with Salema Masekela.
Yep.
And he's someone who, as an X Games commentator during peak prime X Games years, he's witnessed some of the biggest moments of greatness ever.
Yeah.
And I asked him, like, in your mind, after everything you've seen, what is greatness to you? And he told me, like, it's not about just like the wins and accomplishments. It's about what you give back to the sport. So like,
I remember that. Cool.
It's like what Davey's done.
Yeah.
He gets a lot lot of hate, but one of the best people I've met.
That's what I hate. I hate that he gets hate. I guess that was my point in mentioning.
Yeah. His passion is like,
it's
so authentic.
100%.
You know how when you meet someone, you can just feel that that's a good person.
Yeah.
He's a good person. He's giving back to the sport.
Yeah.
Just like what you're saying, I think that's a great goal for a legacy, is that you gave back.
Yeah.
You made it, you left it better than you found it.
And I definitely feel like we've already done that as much as we can in the pathway that we have been on. I just hope to be able to do it at a completely different level if things work out the way that I'm anticipating that they do. So like, yeah, I would love nothing. I remember Art of Flight, back to that. They had helicopters filming helicopters back then with phantom cameras and jibs out in the freaking wilderness, right? I would love nothing more to just be able to go do that same shit and not have a care in the world. And even our Vurb Shred tours that we're doing, the whole genesis of those, we're like, let's just go have fun ride days again. Unfortunately, when things don't make money and you're losing money, it's very hard to justify doing them even with advertising support. Like you still need them to make some kind of return in order to do them. I would also love to do that. Just go out and let's go down to Etchicani or Aonia Pass or back to the roots of like, let's just go have fun ride weekends and who cares if they make money or not. I hope we get there, because if they do, you're going to see me having a lot of fun on dirt bikes again. So that's really where I want to go. And like, yeah, I love for people to see like, hey, they did something really cool and like they gave back as much as they could.
Mm-hmm. Had fun along the way.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Dude, it's been cool to see your career from the perspective of a young kid watching the films you put out to becoming a massive fan of Vurbmoto and working alongside you at Vurb for a couple of years and now just seeing what you've done in the space and hearing about what you're going to do next. It's really inspiring and exciting. And
it was a fun few years with you too. Like I still look at, I as a archive specialist, I still come across your stuff weekly on hard drives, when we're digging up clips and like seeing your old designs for Vurb Classic and the shirt designs and everything. Like
good times.
Cause I remember when Vurb came back, I was like, dude, I'd love to get Ben to freaking just build some stuff. And I remember you being like, yeah, dude, I'm swamped. So maybe we should revisit that conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. The merch game, as you know, is freaking really tough, but
it was a really exciting time for me to be involved with Vurb because like I said, I did grow up watching Vurb and I resonated with the culture that you were building. So the fact that I got to like be a designer for you guys when Clint stepped back for a couple years was really cool for me.
And your style brought a whole new breath to the brand as well. Like even again, how you and Clint both influenced my work, because just the designs and everything that we would do would kind of have some kind of relevancy to what we're building. And like even my style at the time was becoming cleaner and cleaner and cleaner, which really resonated with how you were designing.
That's cool.
So it is, granted, I don't like even look at some of the stuff you've done and even the meta contests and stuff, and even Kyle Cowling's stuff back in the day. You guys, like, the production value and like the artisticness that you guys have in your brains is definitely a step or two above what I have. So I have a whole different appreciation for what the freaking artistic freaking side of what you did. So like, I guess my point is I always loved what you did and the style that you brought, because it helped me bring something new to the work that I was doing. Right.
I love that.
Like, instead of staying status quo and this punk rock, flashy all over the place, like, it's like, all right, let's start doing stuff cleaner and like a little bit more artistic, and like thinking in the way that Ben would design this. Let's try to build a video that way.
I love that.
And like help propel a new era of filmmaking in my own sense, right?
So rad, dude.
So, but it's like so funny how like so many things in your
everything influences each other.
Exactly.
We all inspire each other.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, dude, we're all in this together. So it's been a good ride with you, brother.
It has. Yeah.
And I'm stoked to see what comes next. So
yeah, and congrats on all this too, dude.
Thanks.
It's inspirational, even looking at someone like you that built so much and then had it
trying again.
And you know what? It's inspirational, aspirational. Thanks. And congratulations. And
that means a lot.
Wish you all the luck in the world, and know that we're here for you.
Hell yeah, dude. That means so much. I appreciate it.
Very welcome, sir.
Cheers, dude.
Yeah.
I've been working with 805 beer for close to a decade now, and to me, it's much more than just a beer. I feel like they represent a way of living. 805 was born on California's Central Coast, where life moves to the rhythm of surf, motorcycles, music, and the outdoors. Whether you're coming off a ride, hanging out with friends, or watching the sunset at the end of an awesome day, 805 is right there with you. What I respect most is their commitment to sustainability. This is their home, and they treat it that way. Conserving water, reducing waste, and constantly thinking about how to do things better for the future. They support the athletes, the events, and the culture that we all care about. But more than anything, they support a lifestyle that's real. That's why 805 has been a staple in my life for so long.